of the United States won the 400-meter intermediate hurdles, his 111th consecutive victory.
Network Television proudly presents the 1986 Goodwill Games from Moscow and from Madrid. Brought to you by Pepsi. When it comes to taste and refreshment, time after time, it's Pepsi, the choice of a new generation. By Minolta, makers of the Freedom line of 35mm autofocus compact cameras. Get freedom for your best shot. By Centrum, America's favorite high-potency multivitamin, complete from A to Zinc. And by ERA Real Estate. There really is a difference in real estate companies. The difference is ERA.
And by CNN, the world's most important network and a proud sponsor of the Goodwill Games.
Now, here is the host of the 1986 Goodwill Games. From Moscow, Bob Neal.
Along with Mary Ann Laughlin, I welcome you to our 5th night of primetime coverage of the Goodwill Games. And on this, the last day of competition in track and field, it was a display to rival the opening ceremony. First of all, the emergence of a speedster from Canada, Ben Johnson, defeating 4-time Olympic gold medalist Carl Lewis for the 2nd time in 6 weeks. Johnson's 9:95 was the fastest non-altitude time ever recorded. And Edwin Moses, coming back after injury, had kept him away from the track for nearly 2 years, simply to adjust the crown that is set so easily on his head for almost 9 years. Moses registered his 111th consecutive career victory in the 400-meter hurdles, an athlete who has turned the notion of winning on its head. Beyond the familiar faces, there was the more anonymous 10,000 meters, a long test of speed and endurance in which fame won through determination. Today it was Domingo Castro out-kicking U.S. national champ Gerard Donikowski. The bronze went to Dionisio Castro, his brother. There was more. The story of the 4x100 relays followed. It was Evelyn Ashford who won the first U.S. gold of these games in the 100-meter dash, bursting past her Soviet counterpart Elvira Babashina to win the gold for her team. And then Carl Lewis, clearly seeking to reestablish himself after a less than impressive performance in the 100-meter earlier, outstriding Victor Briesgen in the final quarter, just at the moment when the world of track seemed ready to turn away from this complex and supremely talented athlete. So we reluctantly said goodbye to Lennon Stadium as the site of these stirring performances, and although the events are over, they refuse to end. We'll relive some of the more memorable ones as our coverage continues, but above all, we will remember the athletes themselves, always with that slight sense of surprise at just how deeply we are moved by their stories. That was track and field at the Goodwill Games. And Marianne Laughlin, as stirring as those performances were, we're going to some different venues tonight with probably some more action.
It doesn't stop, does it, Bob? After that exciting day in track and field, we'll be picking up action in women's volleyball. It's the U.S. against Czechoslovakia. If this newly rebuilt U.S. team could win, they could be back into medal contention after a bad start. Also, water polo got started today. We'll see the U.S. team in action against Holland. Of course, that tournament will heat up in the coming days, and we'll be covering it for you. We'll also have women's basketball, the U.S. versus a surprisingly strong Bulgarian team. And we'll be carrying the finals of the women's basketball tournament live tomorrow in our telecast. And we'll be seeing American cyclist speedster Mark Gorski. Looking ahead, diving also gets underway tomorrow. And those tough guy sports, boxing and wrestling, they'll be getting underway on Friday.
In international competition, Marianne, I think you'd call basketball tough guy sports, too. The World Basketball Championships for men are taking place in Spain, and we've been covering them throughout our coverage of the Goodwill games, as we will continue to do right down to the championship game. The U.S. men's team is doing very well. They remain undefeated. They have a tough opponent tonight in a game we're going to show you. It'll be the USA versus Puerto Rico when we return. The men's basketball championships are taking place at 4 sites in Spain. In round 1, there are 24 teams. They play at those 4 sites, and then the top 3 teams from groups A, B, C, and D will transfer to 2 other cities in Spain for the semifinals, or round 2, and that'll get 12 teams. Then they move on to the finals for the final 4 teams that'll be in the medal round. So right now, they're narrowing 24 down to 12. In Group C, the USA is leading right now. They are undefeated. They do have a tough opponent, though. Even though they've lost a couple of games, Puerto Rico has played everybody very tough. The site is Malaga, Spain. We understand the temperatures are very hot there today, and the air conditioning in the sellout building is not working very well, and we're expecting very high temperatures for that game. So, as usual, the basketball games between the United States and Puerto Rico always heat up very much, and today that will be even more so the case. A lot of American college players, by the way, on the Puerto Rican team, and of course a lot of college stars on the USA team. So let's check in on that game. It should be a good one. Let's go to Malaga, Spain, and here is Mel Proctor along with Mike Fratello.
Tonight, an undefeated United States basketball team will face a Puerto Rican team upset last night by the Chinese. And Mike Fratello, how much improvement has this American team shown in the 3 games they played?
Without question, the U.S. team has gotten better each night out. They felt from the beginning that the schedule was in their favor, opening up with the Ivory Coast, then China, then Germany. Each opponent was just a little bit more difficult. It gave this young, inexperienced group a chance to become more cohesive, learn all about each other. And remember, our team had 2 big adjustments. We lost our starting small forward, Butler, and then brought in Charles Smith very late.
China upset Puerto Rico last night. Can the Puerto Rican team bounce back?
A very disappointing loss. After opening up with great enthusiasm against Germany, they've lost 2 very bad games and really need this one tonight.
And so the United States will try to improve its record to 4-0 tonight, facing the team from Puerto Rico.
Continues in the 10th Men's World Basketball Championships, coming to you from Malaga, Spain. And the standings in the 4 groups. In Group A, in Zaragoza, Spain undefeated with 3-0 mark. Greece, Brazil at 2-1. France, Panama, and Korea bringing up the rear, with Korea still looking for its first win. In Group B, in Ferrol, the Soviets undefeated with a 3-0 mark. Israel at 2-1. Their only loss to the Soviets. The rest of the teams all 1-2. In our group, here at Group C in Malaga, the United States and Italy both undefeated, and they will meet in the final game of this first round. And in Group D in Tenerife in the Canary Islands, the Canadian team, a surprisingly strong entry. Yugoslavia also undefeated, led by their outstanding guard, Drazen Petrovic, although he is injured right now with a sprained ankle. And we're about to get underway from Ciudad Jardín in Malaga. The United States against Puerto Rico. The U.S. 3-0. Puerto Rico is 1-2. The U.S. and Italy both assured of reaching the second round, but this is a must game for the Puerto Rican team, Mike Fratello.
No question about it. We thought this team might be a dark horse team when they started out. A great win versus Germany in the opening game, and then have slacked off in the last 2.
Charles Smith powering his way to the basket and fouled by Jerome Mincy, who played collegiately at the University of Alabama at Birmingham, and he is charged with a foul. And Charles Smith has been one of the stars for the U.S. team at the line. He had 28 points in his last game against West Germany, and he was a last-minute addition to this team, replacing Charles Shackelford of North Carolina State. In fact, one of the local papers here didn't even realize that Shackelford was no longer on the team, and the headline in the sports section read, Shackelford leads the Estados Unidos to victory, and it was really Charles Smith who had scored 28.
Well, this young man deserves a lot of credit. He came in very, very late to join the team and has really sparked this team. They needed a little bit of offense. He gives them that athletic ability on the glass and can score points.
The United States leading 2-0 on Smith's free throws. The U.S. going with Kenny Smith, Steve Kerr in the backcourt, David Robinson, Derek McKee, and Charles Smith up front. Federico Lopez misses for Puerto Rico, and here's Steve Kerr of Arizona. An outstanding long-range shooter. He and Sean Elliott, both from Arizona on this team. David Robinson, who had 16 points in his last game, finally coming to life after 2 poor games to open the tournament.
He ran the floor that time, determined to go down, post up, and was going to make himself a force from the beginning of the game. That's a good sign for us.
The United States leading 4-0. The Puerto Rican team composed of a lot of former U.S. collegiate players as Wesley Correa misses. Here comes Kerr ahead to Kenny Smith, known as Jet for his quickness. He's also had an outstanding tournament. And he's got a foul off the ball as Jerome Mincy was caught holding Charles Smith, and Mincy has picked up 2 quick fouls.
Simply part of the transition break there on the fast break. Quick post up, quick look into the hole. Defensive player got caught behind, and as he tried to move around, his whistle for the foul.
The U.S. leading 4-0 in the early going. Puerto Ricans lost to the team from China last night, 98-84, and one of the upsets in this tournament so far. David Robinson is tied up by Correa and will have a jump ball.
Now that you mentioned the loss last night to the Chinese team, Mel, keep this in mind. The Chinese team beat them in transition game, and talking to Bobby Cremins, the assistant coach of the United States team, he felt they would make a real strong effort to run even more tonight than they had before, try to get the easy scores against Puerto Rico.
The U.S. controls the tip. Steve Kerr. And it's knocked out of bounds. Charles Smith touched it last, and the U.S. protesting. Lute Olson and his staff up in arms at that call. Number 5 is Federico Lopez, guarded by Steve Kerr as the U.S. opens it a man-to-man. Jerome Mincy, the most consistent player for the Puerto Ricans so far.
Mincy loves to post up, and they go to him frequently. This is probably 60-70% of the Puerto Rican half-court offense.
Charles Smith over Mincy. He's off to another good start. The U.S. leads 6-2.
Charles Smith is like one of those thoroughbreds that gets out of the gate quick each night.
Mincy from 16. He scored all 4 of the Puerto Rican points. Mincy, a 5th-round draft pick of the New York Knicks. Charles Smith, Mincy falls off of him. He had a wide-open shot. Robinson jams it down.
That's that international rule there of being able to go up and touch the ball if it's not on the rim.
8-4, the United States leading in the U.S. strong inside game, paving the way so far with Robinson and Charles Smith pounding the Puerto Ricans inside. Mincy with a miss. Ramon Rivas to Wesley Correa. And Correa's basket makes it 8-6 United States. This should be a high-scoring, up-tempo game, Mike.
Well, if Puerto Rico can make its shots, which it didn't do the other night against Italy, they had a real problem making layups the other night. But if they can make their shots, there's going to be a lot of exchanges here.
Kenny Smith with the air ball. Charles Smith pounding his way inside, and he is fouled by Federico Lopez.
As we see here on the replay, Charles Smith takes the ball, powers up strong, right to the basket to draw the foul.
Charles Smith, the 6'10 forward from Pitt. The coach of the Puerto Rican team, Angel Cancel, said that he felt the keys to beating the United States were to stop their 2 big men, Smith and David Robinson.
You know, Smith gives us great flexibility. When we rest Robinson, we slide Smith into the center position, and even though it's a small front line, they still have great quickness, athletic ability, can jump, block shots, and rebound.
Smith misses both free throws, but Derek McKee has the rebound. Smith tries to feed Robinson, and it's out of bounds to Puerto Rico. The Puerto Ricans really feel that they can win this game. They don't feel that they played up to their potential in this tournament. And Coach Cancel said, we've been playing as individuals, not as a team. We had a good practice session this afternoon. We're ready to go. But we've got to minimize our mistakes against the U.S. Lopez pass kicked out of bounds by David Robinson.
It's interesting to see if they can get Mario Quixote Morales off early tonight. He has really labored the last 2 games, only 4 points last night.
Mincy on the jam. Fine feed by Fernando Lopez. Jerome Mincy has scored 6 of the 8 Puerto Rican points, and we're tied at 8. Kenny Smith, the playmaker from North Carolina, swings it to McKee of Alabama. David Robinson around Rivas. Charles Smith on the follow. Robinson and Lopez go after it. It's off the hand of Federico Lopez of Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rican team changing defenses now, starting out man-to-man, now going to a little 2-3 zone, trying to keep the Americans off balance.
16:24 remaining in the first half. Steve Kerr off the fake. And a steal by Wesley Correa. Correa, one of the 7 players on this team with American collegiate experience. Morales. Kerr with a rebound. The U.S. wants to run. Kenny Smith to the hoop. And he was fouled. Mincy and Morales both going after him along with Rivas. The foul is on Ramon Rivas.
At times, Kerr has a tendency to get a little careless with the basketball, not really concerned about how close the defenders are, but he gets it ahead to Kenny Smith, who, as we have said many times, just explodes to the basket in the open floor.
Kenny Smith, who broke Phil Ford's single-season assist record at the University of North Carolina. He has been a starter since his freshman year. He'll be a senior in this upcoming season. Kenny had 16 points in the United States victory over Germany. Foul is on Rivas. 14 fouls already on the Puerto Ricans, none on the American team. Remember, after the 8th team foul, you're in the bonus situation. 30-second shot clock is in effect. A lot of differences in the rules in international play. The U.S. leading by 1. Foul called on Charles Smith. You can just see this United States team gelling and getting better with each game, Mike.
What's interesting is Puerto Rico has taken the philosophy that if Charles Smith is going to be their best offensive player, let's go right at him on the other end of the floor. Of the first 4 minutes plus in this game, 5 of the possessions have gone right at Mincy to try and force Smith to play defense.
Correa working hard. Wesley Correa with his second field goal, and the Puerto Ricans lead 10-9. Frankie Toroeus, a 7-footer, number 9, is in the game now for Puerto Rico. Smith's pass intercepted by Toroeus, who's played extremely well off the bench for the Puerto Rican team in this tournament. Pointer by Morales. Mario Morales, they call him Quixote, played at Villanova for 1 year, and he puts Puerto Rico up by 4.
So there's that transition game for the Puerto Rican team. They want to run. They want to let their players go one-on-one.
Robinson powering his way down the lane. He has 6 points.
David Robinson has turned around these past 2 games. Just here in the first 5 minutes, we see him doing much more than he did the first 2 games in this tournament. He's asserting himself now.
He had just 3 and 5 points in the first 2 games. Toroeus on the jump hook. And somebody knocked the ball out, so the basket counts. Score it for Toroeus as the hand went up through the net. 15-11. Puerto Rico by 4. Robinson. Toroeus again contributing off the bench. He doesn't waste any time, having an impact. Mincy, a good post-up player. Bad shot. Kerr on the push-up. McKee is open for the baseline jumper. Derek McKee with his first field goal. And Puerto Rico leads 15-13.
Mel, I know it's early in the game. Maybe it's ridiculous to say this, but both teams right now seem to have been affected by the heat in this building.
No wonder. It's over 100 degrees in here, and you see a lot of the people in the stands using fans to try to stay cool. Mincy over Charles Smith. Kenny Smith trying to bust out on the break, and look at him go. Lopez broke up the play. Outstanding play by Lopez. The United States thought Kenny Smith got fouled. Correa feeds Toroeus, who does not have good hands. You'll see him turn the ball over frequently.
I'd say Kenny Smith made a bad decision last time. 3-on-1, pass the basketball to your teammate. If anybody is going to give it up, it's a North Carolina player. Kenny Smith just got carried away.
Charles Smith for the United States. He has 6 points. We're tied 15-all with just over 13 minutes remaining in the first half.
You can see the players struggling down the court. Remember, there have been a lot of exchanges now on ends of the floor already in the first 7 minutes here.
It is extremely hot in this building. Morales with the basket. He had just 4 points in his last game against China, and they need a big game from him. Puerto Rico leading by 2. Lute Olson pacing the sidelines in front of the United States bench. David Robinson. Robinson on the follow.
There have been no substitutions yet for the United States team. They've gone the first 7.5 minutes now, up and down the floor. I know Coach Olson has it in mind to bring in fresh players. He mentioned it before the game.
Score tied 17 all. Morales, he's got the hot hand tonight.
They have McKee playing Morales, and he needs to understand that you cannot leave him alone. That's their biggest threat on the floor.
Derek McKee with a shake and bake. Torres blocks the shot. Puerto Rico trying to go up by 4. Mincy wants the ball, but David Robinson is fronting him. So Mincy screens for Torres, who sets up on the low post. Correa dumps it inside to Torres, and he's fouled.
Good interior passing there by Puerto Rico. Put it on the floor, draw the defense to you, find the man in the middle of the lane.
And the United States will make some changes. Tyrone Bogues coming in along with Ronnie Cycli and Sean Elliott. And there is a break in the action with 12 minutes remaining in the half, and Puerto Rico leading by 2.
We'll return with more Turner Network Television Goodwill Games coverage after this from our local stations.
You're looking into the United States huddle. Lute Olson talking things over with his team. His assistants are Scott Thompson, who works with Lute Olson at Arizona, Jerry Pym, the head coach at the University of California, Santa Barbara, and Bobby Cremins of Georgia Tech. David Robinson off to a good start with 8 points. Charles Smith has chipped in with 6. Morales and Mincy leading the way for Puerto Rico.
The encouraging thing is that David Robinson has probably taken more shots here in the first 8 minutes of this game than he had in the 3 previous games. And that's a big factor for us as we look ahead.
Ronnie Cycli, number 10, out of Syracuse, is in the game now. Tyrone Bogues, number 4. And also in the game is Sean Elliott. He is number 8. Torres at the free throw line. He played collegiately at Seton Hall. He's been impressive in this tournament. He had 14 points, 5 rebounds in the Puerto Ricans' loss to China last night.
Had 16 points on the opening game for them as well.
Very consistent in this tournament. Steve Kerr with a rebound on the miss by Torres. Here's the crowd favorite, 5'3" Tyrone Muggsy Bogues of Wake Forest. A local columnist here has called him the Maradona of the tournament. After the great soccer star from Argentina, they love Boguesy. He's had a feature written on him in almost every paper in Spain. Steve Kerr, McKee with a baseline jumper.
I'd like to see Derek McKee get a little bit more involved in the offense. Last 2 games, he's kind of faded out for the United States.
The United States trying to trap. Bad shot. Here comes Bogues, who really runs a fast break. Look at the little man go. Elliott finishes off the break with the assist to Bogues.
Gives it up at just the right time. Drew the defense. It was a late give-off to the right lane. Great conversion by Elliott.
That score is incorrect. Sean Elliott's basket has given the United States the lead, 21-19, and Elliott is charged with a foul. Our graphics are being provided by the Spanish television people, and occasionally they make a mistake, so simply want to get the score correct. The United States leads 21-19.
Keep in mind, when Tyrone Bogues comes into the game, his instructions are make something happen. They extend the defense, they push the ball offensively, try and up the tempo of the game.
Saw a great save by Edgar Leon of Puerto Rico to keep it in play. Correa shakes, bakes, and misses. Leon on the follow. Edgar Leon with a basket. Another player who played collegiately in the United States at Santa Barbara City College in California. Elliott on the miss. Score tied, 21 apiece, 10:30 left in the first half. You see the Puerto Rican teams with a sign of sorts in the front of their uniforms that reads Suiza Fruit. It's a dairy company that sponsors the team. A lot of these teams have sponsors. A bank sponsors the Spanish entry. Shot clock winding down to 8 seconds. Cycli blocks the shot. Puerto Rico wanted a goaltending call. Bugsy Bogues in the open court. Cycli.
Great play by Tyrone Bogues. He stayed with the ball the entire way. On that blocked shot, everybody stood around and waited for a whistle.
23-21, the United States with the lead. The crowd goes wild whenever Bugsy Bogues touches the basketball. Good defense by Kerr on Morales, but he still hits it. 8 points for Mario Morales.
Obviously, Puerto Rico feels Kerr is a weak link defensively. Whoever he plays, they seem to go to.
Derek McKee gets his man off his feet. Nifty move. 6 points for McKee, and the United States leads 25-23.
We call that an up and under move. Show the ball, get him in the air, step underneath for the score.
9:09 remaining in the first half. A sellout crowd here in Malaga. Edgar Leon again. Puerto Rico's getting good contributions off the bench. And look at Bogues. This time he loses it, though, but he is exciting. Morales. What a pace in this first half. And you consider it's over 100 degrees in this building. These two teams are running up and down the floor like it's a track meet.
They'll need oxygen at halftime for both teams, I'm sure, Mel.
Puerto Rico leading by a basket, 27-25. Bogues penetrates. I think we've got a 3-second violation. That's the call. Charles Smith, 15. Kenny Smith, number 7, back in for the United States. Mel Proctor with Mike Fratello, bringing you more coverage of the 10th Men's World Basketball Championships. This game coming to you from Malaga, Spain, La Ciudad Jardín, with 8:26 remaining in the first half. A good game so far. Puerto Rico leading by a basket. A new player, Brian Shaw, has been added to the team. He was an alternate. He's taken over for David Butler, who was hurt and missed the first 3 games. Here comes Kenny Smith. Bogues and Smith in the backcourt now with Elliott, Charles Smith, and Cycli up front. 3-pointer by Kenny Smith.
You know what's interesting right now is Tommy Hammacher. Where is Tommy Hammacher, who has normally come in his regular rotation? I'm wondering if he was injured in practice or anything.
28-27, United States, a 3-pointer. Orlando Fabre is missing the 3-pointer, and Charles Smith has the rebound. Here comes Bogues. Angel Cancel imploring his team to get back defensively. Coach Cancel of the Puerto Rican team once played for the Puerto Rican national team and appeared in 2 Olympic games and 1 Panamanian games. He was a 6'2" center for this team. Fabres, who played at the University of Florida. Ronnie Cycli clears it out to Bogues. Bogues throws it back out. 3-pointer by Kenny Smith.
That was a great play by Tyrone Bogues. Penetrated. Kenny Smith just stayed behind the 3-point line and waited for it.
The second 3-pointer of the game by Kenny Smith puts the U.S. up by 4, 31-27. David Robinson of Navy has scored 8 points. Kenny Smith with a pair of 3-pointers has added 7. As we look at Angel Cancel, the head coach of the Puerto Rican team, I mentioned he was a 6'2" center on the national team, and I said, "You're kidding, you played center?" And he said, "I could really jump."
He's an excellent coach, and he's the most cooperative person. He has spent time with us, described his philosophy, what he's trying to accomplish there, and he has his team playing real good basketball right now.
7 minutes and 4 seconds remaining in the first half. The United States leading by 4. The U.S. sends out a backcourt of Kenny Smith and Tyrone Bogues, Sean Elliott, Charles Smith, and Ronnie Cycli on the front line. Angel Cruz brings it across for Puerto Rico. 2 little guys going head-to-head. Jerome Mincy back in. Mincy with 8 points.
Mincy is tough in the lane. They get him posted up about 8 feet from the basket. He's not afraid of anyone. He shoots it right over him. defensive end, that was a sensational series. I'd like to see Ronnie Cycli get a little more playing time. Maybe he, along with Dave Robinson at the same time. He makes such a difference because he's a big body in there who blocks shots.
So far. Elliott, the co-freshman of the year in the Pac-10, along with UCLA's Pooh Richardson. And he makes 1 out of 2. 34-29. United States, 6 minutes left in the first half.
When Tyrone Bowes gets on you, he turns your back. So much pressure.
Jerome Mincy on the miss with the tip in by Francisco Leon, one of the 2 Leon brothers on this team. United States by 3, and the ball's knocked out of bounds by Angel Cruz. There's that Suiza fruit sign we were talking about earlier. The officials tonight, Garcia from Colombia and Virovic of Israel. 5:37 left in the half. Kenny Smith, Bogues, he doesn't shoot much from the outside. Always looking to pass off to the big men. Shot clock down to 4 seconds. They're going to have to put one up. 3-pointer. A little too long for Kenny Smith. Leon throws it back out to Cruz. Around Bogues. Cycli can't get there in time. And a follow shot by Francisco Leon.
Cycli leaves his man to go and try and cover up for the guard who was beat off the dribble. Challenges to block the shot. Misses. Offensive rebound score.
5 minutes remaining in the half. Kenny Smith off the fake. He has 9 points. And the United States leads 36-33. Leon's shot partially blocked by Cycli. Bogues goes right by Cruz, right down the middle. Look at him go. Kenny Smith hustling back, steals the pass. 4-on-2 break. 3-pointer. Charles Smith. Cycli. And a foul is called on number 14, Francisco Leon.
As we see here in the replay, we have 3 of our big people in there on the glass getting us second and third efforts. And that's what we need to do. Try and pound this smaller team.
Angel Cancel, the coach of the Puerto Rican team, was worried about the United States size, and Cycli, Robinson, and Charles Smith have hurt the Puerto Rican team inside. Roddy Cycli, a junior at Syracuse. He averaged 10 points a game last year. Born in Greece, now playing for the United States team. A 4-point U.S. lead.
We're getting good point productivity from our center position right now in this game. That, along with Kenny Smith from the outside, we have that nice inside-outside game going.
Cycli and Robinson have combined for 13 points at the center spot. The U.S. leads by 4 with 4:22 remaining. Sellout crowd at La Ciudad Jardín in Malaga, Spain. And a steal by Kenny Smith, but he forgot the ball. He was going so fast.
We got a great trap back in the post area, and Kenny Smith from the offside made a rotation across, anticipated the kick out, almost had the steal.
And you see why they call him Jet. Cruz is out of bounds. He lost control of it, was on the sidelines. The United States will have the ball, and Lute Olson stands in. David Robinson, Derek McKee, and Steve Kerr.
Great pressure defense in that last series by the United States team. Trap backs, rotations, pressure on the ball, turnovers.
Wesley Correa returns for the Puerto Rican team with 4:08 left. The United States leads by 4. Kenny Smith moves the ball to the right side to McKee. 3:59 left. The United States up 37-33. Smith, he's liable to crank up another 3-pointer. Kerr from long range. Robinson almost tipped it in.
We're back to our starting unit now. Finishing up strong here the last 4 minutes of the first half with our starting 5 on the floor.
I just like the improvement that David Robinson has shown, though. So much more active than he was in the first 2 games. Running up and down the floor, always above the rim. Correa scores for Puerto Rico. He has 6 points, and the U.S. lead is cut to 2. Kerr into Robinson against the smaller Mincy. Leon tried to slide over and help out, but couldn't get there in time. Foul is on Jerome Mincy. Beg your pardon, it called the foul on Torreas. Mincy was also there, so that's a break for Puerto Rico, because if it had been called on Mincy, that would have been his 3rd foul, but it's on Frankie Torreas.
We haven't seen very much this evening out of Steve Kerr, who we know is an excellent outside shooter. And once he gets it going, whether it be now or in the second half, that'll open things up a little bit more for our big people inside. Right now, our only threat from the perimeter seems to be Kenny Smith this evening.
David Robinson misses 2 free throws, but there's a lane violation. Robinson, an inconsistent free throw shooter, and you kind of wonder why, because he has such a fine touch for a big man, a pretty good form on his shot, but at times he'll go through streaks where he misses a lot of free throws, just missing 3 in a row.
Yeah, when you get to the foul line, a big man who goes strong to the basket the way Dave does is going to get to the line a lot. Needs to convert him. He's giving away points.
The United States leads by 2, 3:05 left. Correa loses his man on a screen and buries it. 8 points for Wesley Correa. The score is tied 37-all. Correa guarding Kenny Smith. Now they're in a zone defense. Looks like a 1-3-1.
This is by no means the same Puerto Rican team that lost to Italy by 23 and the Chinese team by 14. They're playing good basketball tonight.
Derek McKee on the miss. Charles Smith on the follow. Into Robinson for the slam.
Great interior passing. Very difficult to do in the lane with big bodies like that, but he snuck it through. Good look for his teammate. We see him go up, drop it down. Good hands by Robinson.
It's amazing to me how quickly and how well Charles Smith has blended in with this team. He didn't join them till late in training camp. When Charles Shackelford left the team, Smith moved in, and you think he'd been there all along the way he's played.
Well, I think we need to give credit both ways here. First to Charles Smith, who has had to absorb an awful lot coming in late, and then secondly to Lute Olson and his staff.
Morales is back in for Puerto Rico. Number 5, Tommy Hammacher, makes his first appearance in the game for the United States, replacing Kenny Smith. Hammacher from Duke.
Interesting why Hammacher has been held out until the 2-minute mark here, but we'll talk to the coaches and try and find that out.
Federico Lopez, guarded by Steve Kerr. He's looking to Jerome Mincy, but they're fronting him again and having a tough time getting him the ball. Correa. Torreas on the follow, and he's fouled by David Robinson.
You see here on the replay, we get a very weak box out that time by Derek McKee. He's going to have to be much tougher and stronger in the lane area, boxing out these people.
David Robinson is charged with his first foul. He fouled out of the United States last game. Well, what an athlete. Torreas with a 3-point play, and Puerto Rico leads 40-39 with 1:45 left in the half. Mincy sagging off Charles Smith. They go into Robinson against Torreas. The battle of 7-footers. What a battle between the two big men, and Torreas fouls David Robinson.
Ball goes into the post. Puerto Rico traps back, gets a piece of the ball, but Robinson hangs tough. Gets it up on the glass, draws a foul.
Well, David Robinson will go to the free throw line after being hacked on the arm. Robinson, 1 for 3, or 0 for 2 at the line tonight. Still has not hit a free throw. He missed 2 earlier, then had a third opportunity on a lane violation, missed that, and has now missed another one. He made 63% of his free throws last year at Navy, and he has 11 points. The score tied 40-all. Good first half. 1:25 remaining. Shot clock down to 14 seconds. Ball slapped away by Charles Smith. Kerr leading the break. Waiting for traffic to clear, and it's knocked away from him. Charles Smith trying to head Mincy off with a pass, and Hammacher makes the steal, but his momentum carried him out of bounds.
Steve Kerr, once again, we mentioned this earlier, tries to do too many things sometimes with the ball on the break and gets some needless, careless turnovers for the United States team.
1 minute remaining in the first half. The United States 40 and Puerto Rico 40. And it's a backcourt violation, over and back. You can't throw the ball into the backcourt.
Well, Kerr may have turned it over, but he got it back right then with some good hustle on defense.
Hammacher and Kerr in the backcourt for the United States, with McKee, Charles Smith, and Robinson on the front line. Less than a minute remaining. Hammacher with a no-look pass into Charles Smith. Correa brings it across, slapped away by McKee with those quick hands. 37 seconds remaining. Kerr, shot blocked by Correa.
Well, that was a great block shot. He just laid back there, let Kerr come down the lane, thinking he had a layup, and at the last minute, went up, reached out, and knocked the ball out of bounds.
And the Puerto Rican team will take a timeout with 32.8 seconds remaining in the first half. And again, we point out that in the final minute of play in each half, the time is kept in tenths of a second. You're looking at Lute Olson now, the head coach at Arizona. Bobby Crimmins, Georgia Tech in the huddle. Lute Olson has been successful wherever he has coached. Came up the hard way, began as a high school coach, and then on to junior college in Southern California. Long Beach State for 1 year, where he was 24-2. Had great success at Iowa for 9 years. Was named the Coach of the Year in 1980, and his counterpart, Angel Cancel.
So we've seen a great game here in the first half, 40-40 with 32 seconds remaining. And I think what the United States team is counting on, that their depth, the fact that they're running players in and out, somewhere along the second half, they're going to find that spurt of 8 to 10 points to try and open this thing up.
I agree with you. I think the United States is deeper than Puerto Rico.
But Puerto Rico's playing well right now. I mean, after those last two losses, they came out here with a different attitude tonight, determined to show that they're a much better team. We saw them against Germany. They played great the opening night.
So we have just over 32 seconds remaining. What do you think of the idea of keeping the time in the final minute in tenths of a second? Do you like it?
I kind of like the idea. You know, whether you have a long second or a short second, particularly helpful to the players who have to get that last shot off.
Derek McKee will inbound for the United States. One of the officials over conferring with the scorers table, and now we're ready to go. Score tied 40-all. Kenny Smith surveying the defense of Puerto Rico. Looks like the U.S. going to run some time off the clock.
There's almost the same amount of time left on the shot clock as there is in the game clock, so they're going to get the last one off here.
We're down to 10 seconds on the shot clock. Now they're going to have to look for a shot. 5 on the shot clock. Robinson just in time. The United States takes the lead as the first half comes to an end. It's been a good first half, very evenly played. And at the end of the first half from Ciudad Jardín in Malaga, Spain, it's the United States 42 and Puerto Rico 40.
The basketball game between the USA and Puerto Rico. What a game it is. 42-40 USA. David Robinson has finally appeared. He was slumping earlier for the USA team, but he's playing well here. Remember, it's 100 degrees in that gym in Malaga. I think bench strength for Puerto Rico and the United States will certainly help determine the outcome of that game. We'll be getting back to the second half. Here at halftime, we're going to cover some of the men's high jumping competition, some very good competition expected to be at Lennon Stadium. We're also going to be talking about and looking at some women's volleyball. The United States women's volleyball team has had a rough start, but they are still hanging by a thread for an opportunity for a medal. As you know, there are 2 groups, and the top 2 teams in each group in volleyball go to the medal round. Well, the United States has a chance. Japan is in Group B, the USA's group, but USA, North Korea, and Czechoslovakia are all tied. After they're all tied, then they go to the second tiebreaker for that second team in the final 4 round, and that is how many total games the teams have won in the matches. So a lot could happen depending on if North Korea loses and how many games they win, and if the United States wins and how many games they win, the U.S. women's volleyball team still has an opportunity to get into the medal round, and that will be shown tonight, the USA volleyball game with Czechoslovakia. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be good, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens. And Marianne, looking forward to the high jumping competition.
I'm glad some of the events are a little less complicated than that. One of the last field events held at Lennon Stadium today was the high jump. The contestants include world record holder Igor Pacolet, American Olympic Doug Nordquist, and many others. Charlie Neal and Chris Masbeck have the story.
We're at Lennon Central Stadium as we get ready for the men's high jump. The world record held by Igor Pacolet of the Soviet Union, 7:10 3/4, while Jim Howard of the United States is the American record holder. And here's Craig Masbeck to look at some of the competitors.
The high jump figures to be one of the most competitive events on tonight's program. Not only do we have world record holder Igor Pacolet, we have a host of former world record holders and the top Americans, Doug Nordquist. If all goes well, not only will we have a great competition, but it may rise up in height to a world record height of 2 meters 42. For the uninitiated, that's 7 feet 11 1/4 inch.
Well, thank you very much, Craig. The young man you're looking at right now is Soren Mattei of Romania. He's about the same height as you and I, 6 feet tall, the shortest in the field. This is his third attempt at 7 feet 6 inches. He has cleared 7'8" this year. And a great jump for Soren Mattei of Romania. And Craig Masbeck has joined me in the booth now. How about this young man?
Pretty amazing when you consider that jump right there, 18 inches over his head. And when I looked up at the bar, I couldn't imagine clearing it. But he has tremendous speed that he generates. He's very, very fast as he attacks the bar, comes across the track, and he's almost acrobatic in his style. As he goes up over the bar, he has tremendous body control, and he kind of just whips his calves right over the top.
So, Soren Mattei of Romania, 7'6" on his third attempt. This young man is Doug Norquist. This is his first attempt at 7 feet 7 1/4 inches.
You can see Doug using a technique that was developed by a distant cousin of his, Dwight Stones. He's imagining himself going up and over the bar, a technique many athletes use.
Very confident high jumper and a great leap, and he's very happy with his performance. He was a member of the 1984 Olympic team.
Well, he should be happy. He's a very hot jumper at the moment. That often happens in high jumping. People get on streaks. He won the national championships, and here he seems to have been jumping well all night.
When you talk about keys to being a successful high jumper, what are they?
I think one of the keys is consistency, because it's a very complex series of movements from the running part that we see, the approach as it's called in the technical terms, all the way through the flop, the Fosbury Flop that these guys are doing over the bar.
This young man is a world record holder. That's his Igor Pacolet of the Soviet Union, and this is Igor's first attempt at 7'7 1/4.
Oh, you can see, he just hung a little too much in the air, didn't get enough distance as he took off, needed a little more horizontal movement in his jump.
This is Svara, Jan Svara of Czechoslovakia, was known as a straddler and has changed to his style a little bit to becoming a flop type of high jumper.
Right, of course, he's a straddle, and you can see that a little bit in his approach. Straddle, of course, would be approaching from the side, and it's almost as if he's combined the two strategies at this point. 7'8 1/2 is his best, but he misses here at 7'7 1/4. He's out of the competition. That's his third miss.
So we'll look at what maybe went wrong with him on his miss.
I must admit, I've never seen him jump before, and I really wonder if it's the combination of these two forms that's coming to him. He has a much shorter run-up than the other guys, and you can see there's a sort of a jerkiness. It may be that he just lacks the consistency at this point in his season.
Now here's Mattei's third attempt at 7'7 1/4. Now earlier we saw him make his third attempt at 7 foot 6 inches.
Well, we could see in that earlier, we saw him clear 7'7
7'6.
7'6, of course. Oh, here he gets it again. He seems to be good on these third attempts. He cleared 7'6 on his third attempt. Here we see him at 7'7 1/4. Again, tremendous speed that he generates toward the bar. I think we'll see a slow motion. And you can see great concentration. And he'll have a J approach, meaning he takes several steps on a straightaway, then turns quickly, plants one foot parallel to the bar, and then thrusts his arms and his free leg up, puts his head back, and his legs come over the bar.
And this young man is Sergei Malchenko of the Soviet Union. This is his third attempt at 7 feet 7 1/4 inches.
He was ranked 8th in the world last year. This would better his personal best of 7'7. hit the bar on the way up.
And again, that was his third attempt at 7 and a quarter. He misses, so that puts him out of the competition. And we talk about him missing. How about the different techniques of different high jumpers?
Well, we hardly see the straddle jump anymore, Charlie, and almost everyone has gone to the Fosbury Flop, which really became well known with Dick Fosbury in the 1968 Olympics. It's where they approach with this J run, turn their back essentially to the bar and flip their legs over. That's the most simplified explanation of it. You need great consistency for that, and Malchenko just didn't have it here on the last jump.
So now they're moving the bar to 7 feet 8 inches. And looking at the leaderboard right now, Nordquist is in first place because of no misses. In second place, Pacolet, 1 of 2 at 7 feet 6. Mattei is in third. He missed 2 of 3 at 7 and a quarter. And there's our leader, Doug Norquist of the United States.
Welcome back to Moscow. We're still at halftime of the game we're covering in Malaga, Spain, between the United States and Puerto Rico. U.S. leading by a mere 2 points. David Robinson is playing his best game for the USA, but a man by the name of Mario Morales for Puerto Rico has scored 15. He's lighting them up, and that's a good ball game. Now, in just a moment, we're going to be checking in while we're still at halftime on women's volleyball, a crucial game for the U.S. volleyball team against Czechoslovakia. The women still have an opportunity to get into the gold medal round if a certain number of things happen, so it's a crucial game for the USA, and we'll be joining that right after this.
Games have been brought to you by Pepsi. When it comes to taste and refreshment, time after time, it's Pepsi, the choice of a new generation.
We're here for a very important women's volleyball match, important for the United States, that is, because they're playing Czechoslovakia in a must-win situation. Ann Meyer's working with me. It'll be tough for the Americans, but they can still make it if they win this game, this match.
I think it'll be tough, but talked to Terry Leskevich before the game, and he's very pleased with the way the Americans are playing. Even though they lost to Japan last night in 4 games, he felt that they had a chance of winning. Today's game against Czechoslovakia, they can't afford to lose 1 game and still come out second in this pool.
So it's a tough situation, and the Czechoslovakians may not make that situation much easier for them.
No, they're a very big and strong team. They like to attack at the net, and they're a great blocking team. But they're not a strong digging, and Terry Leskevich feels that the United States has a good chance in beating them.
The Czechs beat North Korea. North Korea, of course, beat the United States. That gives you some tip-off.
Well, I think so, but it's gone back and forth. North Korea played well against the United States and then just really looked awful against Czechoslovakia.
All right, Ann, we look forward to it. The action coming right up. The United States against Czechoslovakia. This arena normally used for hockey and figure skating, not world championships, but some of the Soviet club matches in hockey. But today it is volleyball, with the United States trying to stay alive in their pool, having lost the first 2 games and staying alive in this first game against Czechoslovakia. Now getting the serve back to the Americans with that point. They trail 7-12.
Terry Leskevich letting some other players play a little bit more. Liz Masakayan coming in the front row, make a nice kill.
And right away.
Nice little dump shot by Vaclavikova.
And she takes away that momentum we have talked about, which is so important. But the Americans have been gaining it slowly in this first game. The Czechs stuck on 12 for quite some time, trying to add to it right here. And again, the eagerness of Angela Rock pays off as she positions that ball squarely between 2 defenders.
Rock, one of the strongest players on the team, and also one of the best jumpers on the team.
Here is the set for Czechoslovakia,
nice
and an
block.
outstanding block, but kept alive very smartly by Czechoslovakia. The Americans confused, got turned around, but the ball was out, so the service belongs to the Americans once again.
Substitution in Czechoslovakia team number 9.
And a substitution now for Czechoslovakia is number 9. Krylova comes in.
Good serve.
She couldn't handle it. Barakova.
Czechoslovakia defensively getting caught out of position.
And it's just a 3-point spread. 9 serving 12.
Good cross by the Czechoslovakians. Mandalova with that back set right here. She goes up for a 1-foot jump and right through the block. United States not able to close it.
But the Czechoslovakian team not able to widen their lead at this stage, although they do right here. They had that 13th point, which seems so elusive, and now are 2 away from a victory in this first game, leading 13-9.
Angela Rock had a chance to keep the ball in play, but went a little bit wide.
And the low to serve to the outside for the United States. And they will get it back.
Off the touch. Same play, but this time she only had one blocker up against her, and she used it well.
Angela Rock.
Good serve.
Here is the set from the outside, blocked beautifully by the Americans. Right in there was Marcia Bond. And it is 13-10. This American team refuses to roll over and quit the first game.
Another good serve.
From the outside, a blast is handled by Czechoslovakia deep in the court. Fine block at the net by the Americans. Still in play for the United States. Here's the set to the outside, blocked by Czechoslovakia. Good rally underway.
Good
and
point.
The Americans win it.
Real good point. The Americans, again, they went back to Angela Rock in the back row. That back row player cannot jump in front of that 10-foot line, and the United States uses that play a lot, and they used it well. It worked to their advantage this time.
While Czechoslovakia is 1-1, they've had some very close games in their matches, reflected by their 65-63 for and against record to this stage of the tournament. And an example of that shaping up right here is they now have only a 2-point lead over the Americans at 13-11. You're watching women's volleyball, a key U.S. match at the Lennon Central Stadium Smaller Arena.
На подаче Angela Rosk.
Here is Angela Rock for the United States, trailing by 2 at 11-13. And side out. It'll go back to Czechoslovakia.
Davrakova with a nice kill on the right side of the net. She just took advantage of that cross court.
U.S. wins it. Service over. Side out to the United States.
Paula Weishoff has really been playing steady. She's a veteran on this ball club, was on the 1984 team, and really has steadied this team down a lot.
And from the outside, that was Dvorakova for Czechoslovakia. Quickly, side out, back to Czechoslovakia.
Замена в команде Чехословакии. На площадке Эва Досталова, номер 3.
Substitution in
Dostalova going back, number 3, to handle the serve. A long and very competitive first game. That's 3 out of 5. Final game of the preliminary round robin, and it was. And Czechoslovakia now has game point at 14-11. 15 will do it if your margin is 2.
Kathy Noth went to the back row again, setting Angela Rock, but she looks a little bit hurt. She's limping.
Sent deep by the United States. That is just over unintentionally. Kept in play by the Americans.
Good up.
Here is a set.
Nice block.
And that will do it. Czechoslovakia does persevere and manage to win this first game. Best 3 out of 5 against the United States, 15-11. But this tough American team certainly made them work for it as they came scrambling back to fall short by 4. So game 1 goes to the Czechs.
Well, the U.S. women's volleyball team seems to keep digging a hole for themselves. They're in one again against Czechoslovakia. And remember that they still have an opportunity for a medal if the right things were to happen. But right now they trail by 1 game. We'll be going back to more action. And speaking of going back, we're going to go back to Spain, Malaga, Spain, where the United States leads Puerto Rico by a slim margin of 42-40. Mario Morales for Puerto Rico has been lighting them up. Let's see what happens now in the second half.
David Robinson led the way for the United States in the first half. They lead the Puerto Rican team 42-40 as we get ready to start the second half.
Change in the starting lineup. Tyrone Bogue starting the second half in the backcourt along with Kenny Smith, trying to get some speed and quickness, push the ball.
You and I were talking about that at halftime, Mike, that we both seemed to think that the U.S. was most effective when Bogues was in the game. 3-point attempt is no good. And the ball is out of bounds off David Robinson. Both teams shot very well in the first half. 50% or better from the floor. The U.S. almost 52%, and Puerto Rico nearly 55%.
The other thing we notice here is the United States has come out and playing 2-3 zone. They've abandoned their man-to-man defense, and that could be to help protect Tyrone Bogues.
Number 5, Federico Lopez, the playmaker. Number 12 is Mario Morales. Toroea starting the second half, and he turns it over. Here comes Muggsy Bogues. Bogues and Kenny Smith in the backcourt. David Robinson just muscling Toroeus. Mincy with a rebound. Rest of the U.S. lineup, Derek McKee and Charles Smith, along with Kenny Smith, Bogues, and Robinson. First minute of the second half, the U.S. leads by a basket. Mincy, shot blocked by Charles Smith, but he's called for a foul.
Let's take a look at this again now. I'm not sure they called Charles Smith for that foul. I think they called it on McKee.
Yeah, you're right. Second foul on Derek McKee. Three-pointer. Strong rebound by Robinson in the outlet to Kenny Smith. McKee hanging in the air, and he was fouled by Morales.
You notice the difference sometimes between our young players when they go to the basket for their move, as we see here, McKee taking it. The players from over here in Europe go strong, anticipating the contact, trying to convert it. Some of our young players concede the fact that the foul's going to come and think they just get the 2 from the foul line. You need to think 3 when you go to the basket.
The United States made only 6 of 14 free throws in the first half. David Robinson was 1 for 4 from the line.
We shot 14 free throws. Puerto Rico shoots 3. Yet we don't capitalize the way we should have from the foul line.
So McKee sinks 2 free throws, and the U.S. leads by 4. Wesley Correa pressured by Bogues, like the United States wanted to trap. And a foul is called on Derek McKee.
They're calling him kind of tight right now, Mel. That was a little tic-tac type of foul. We're up pressure in here. Great pressure in the backcourt. Derek McKee just a half a step late. They could have let that one go.
Third foul on McKee, the second team foul. Mincy off the spin. Robinson with a sensational block. Coming from nowhere. Bogues hammered. No foul called. And Muggsy Bogues is putting the officials saying, what about a foul? When you're 5'3", you need all the help you can get.
Let's take a look at it again. I don't think there's any question there's body contact. He gets it from both sides.
I think the official didn't call it because he couldn't find Muggsy.
He got lost within those blue shirts somewhere. He knew he was in there. He just couldn't find him now.
Tyrone Bogues from Baltimore, Maryland. Now playing for Wake Forest. Robinson is fouled. He's drawing a crowd whenever he gets the basketball.
We see the United States forming that triangle now. Tyrone Bogues out on top, Kenny Smith in the corner, and Robinson posted up. This is the set he was so familiar with at the Naval Academy. He feels comfortable here.
Foul is on Toroeus. 44-40, the United States. Charles Smith, pretty shot.
He's really a smooth offensive player. When he asserts himself, he is a big, big plus for the United States team.
And the United States leads by 6. Bogues really applying the pressure to Federico Lopez. Mincy with a fall away. He's had a fine game. 10 points for Jerome Mincy. Pass deflected, picked off by Frankie Toroeus. Puerto Rico can move to within 2 with a basket here. Morales. The man they call Quixote, playing well after an off night against China. The United States lead whittled to 2 points.
Morales started out tonight like he was going to make up for last night, then kind of faded away the last couple minutes of that half.
Charles Smith misses the chip shot. Robinson on the follow. They're really pounding the offensive board.
We see those hands of the United States team up above the rim, and that's a good sign for us.
15 points for David Robinson. He's been in double figures in each of the first 2 games. And his last 67 collegiate games at Navy, he scored in double figures. But he was not in double figures in the first 2 games of this tournament. Lopez. Rebound by Charles Smith. Lopez and Bogues go after the loose ball. Look at David Robertson. He has fine hands for a big man. McKee. 10 points for Derek McKee. And there is a break in the action with 16:36 remaining in the second half from La Ciudad Jardín in Malaga, Spain, with the score, the United States 50 and Puerto Rico 44. In Malaga, Spain, as we look at the U.S. coaching staff, the United States leads 5-6 with 16:30 left in the game.
The United States team now is taking many chances defensively, especially with Tyrone Bogues, who's playing Federico Lopez. He's not a big scorer, and they're gambling right now. He's not going to hurt him.
Beautiful tip in by Jerome Mincy, who has 12 points. And the United States advantage is cut to 4 points. Sean Elliott, number 8, is in the game now for the U.S. David Robinson has gone to the bench. Elliott. Morales saves it for Puerto Rico. Correa picked up by Kenny Smith. Morales saves it again. Always seems to be around that basketball.
They're not doing a real good job of boxing out right now. We're letting the Puerto Rican team have too many second shots.
50-46. The United States leads Puerto Rico. Morales on the miss. Elliott with the outlet to Bogues. 2-on-2 situation. Now 3-on-2. And a foul is called on Federico Lopez.
That was a good foul. Saved the layup for the United States. Took the foul, knew they were outnumbered, knew Bogues had gotten by him, so reached in and committed the foul right there on the arm.
Ramon Rivas, number 4, comes back in for Puerto Rico. Lopez charged with his second foul. Charles Smith gets a breather. Robinson out briefly, is back in for the U.S. He was out only about a minute, maybe less than that. Kenny Smith, three-pointer.
Nice move by the United States. Started the ball on one side of the floor, screened the back line of the zone, and skipped the ball across the floor to Kenny Smith, who had spotted up. That's a very nice technique of screening the back people of the zone.
The third three-pointer of the game for Kenny Smith of North Carolina, and he puts the United States up by 7. The U.S. with Bogues and Kenny Smith in the backcourt. Sean Elliott, David Robinson, and Derek McKee on the front line. The U.S. attempting to trap.
This is a key time now for Puerto Rico. They have to keep their composure and don't let the United States defense rattle them. The U.S. could blow this open right here.
Jerome Mincy on the miss, and Elliott skies high for the rebound. Bogues ahead to Kenny Smith. Elliott picked up by Morales. Bogues on the pull-up. Rivas comes down with it. Ramon Rivas, who plays at Temple University. Angel Cancel, the coach of the Puerto Rican team, says he has nothing to fear. Most of our players have played American collegiate basketball, so it's not really a new experience for them going up against the best players in America. Morales on the drive. It counts, and he got fouled.
We gambled and went for the steal on defense. Mario Morales put it on the floor. Makes a nice move to his left hand. Has an opportunity here to go to the basket for the three-point play.
Tyrone Bogues charged with a foul on the reach-in.
Sean Elliott never had his defensive balance. We could see that in the replay.
The United States leads by 5, 53-48, with 14:15 remaining in the second half. See that jump shooting form on the free throw, reminiscent of Hal Greer used to play for the 76ers. Number 7, Orlando Fabris checks in for Puerto Rico. Ronnie Cycli, number 10, is in for the U.S.
Now, this is the move we talked about the first half, the big front line where we have both of our centers, Cycli and Robinson, playing together in there. And let's see now if it gives us a little advantage on the boards.
Cycli at 6'9", Robinson at 6'11", and Sean Elliott at 6'6" on the front line. Minutes left in the second half. The U.S. leads by 5. Correa with a three-pointer. Mincy, a strong rebounder. Fabris fouled by Bogues.
Second and third opportunities for the Puerto Rican team. We must box out. If we're going to play a zone defense, It makes the box-out responsibilities tougher. When a shot goes up here, you must find the man and put your body on him.
Foul is on Tyrone Bogues. Wesley Correa leaves, and number 6, Jose Sosa, who's been playing in this tournament with a bad ankle, is back in. Sosa can play either guard spot. He's a good shooter and extremely quick. 13:45 left. The United States leads by 5. Edgar Leon, number 13, is also in for the Puerto Rican team. Three-pointer by Lopez. Look at Bogues in there with a big man, and look at the little man. Yes, sir.
Big play. I was just about to say that Puerto Rico had kind of held off the steam of the United States team, but that thing right there may have given them the impetus now to continue a little run here.
And the shot is banked in by Leon. Edgar Leon with 6 points, and the U.S. leads by 5. You have a little man on your team with the Atlanta Hawks, Spud Webb, who can ignite a team just the way Bogues does for this club.
No question. Spud comes in and things happen for the Atlanta Hawks. Hopefully most of them are good.
Robinson. David Robinson with 17 points. The United States with a 7-point lead. Edgar Leon pressured by Cycli. Lopez off a screen by Rivas. Shot clock down to 12 seconds. David Robinson on the block, and he grabs a loose ball. That was a big game.
That was a big defensive play. We had a switch, a bad mismatch.
Elliott has the ball stripped away as he goes up on the follow shot.
On the pick and roll at the other end of the floor, Mel, we had a switch, and Dave Robinson wound up guarding Federico Lopez. We had Bogues guarding the center for Puerto Rico. They tried to throw the lob, couldn't come up with it because of the block shot.
Steve Kerr replaces Bogues, who gets a big ovation as he leaves. The foul is on Orlando Fabris. So Muggsy Bogues gets a break. He has to be tired, as hot as it is in the arena in Malaga. Over 100 degrees. Cycli with the turnaround. Fabris can't hold the rebound, but Sosa grabs it. Jose Sosa brings it across with 12 minutes left. The United States leading by 7. Rivas with the fall away. David Robinson made him change his shot.
He shot that over the top with an outstretched arm. Robinson was challenged in the shot, but you have to give credit where it's due. He made a heck of a shot there.
That's the first basket for Ramon Rivas tonight. Elliott on the baseline pull-up. Robinson in there battling. Strong effort by David Robinson. Now mixing it up with Rivas. I mentioned before, when David Robinson gets a little angered, he seems to play much better. He seems to get fired up, and he's even stronger than he normally is. So you don't want to make him mad.
We need to make sure right now with this group on the floor, Mel, that we get the ball in the hands of the people that we want shooting it. I'm not so sure that Sean Elliott is the guy we want to keep going to.
Second foul on Ramon Rivas. Elliott leaves. Derek McKee is back in for the United States. David Robinson with 17 points, but he's made only 1 of 4 free throw attempts. He'll be playing for a new coach this year at Navy, Pete Herman, who was an assistant at the Naval Academy. He succeeds Paul Evans, who'll become the head coach at Pitt. Robinson now 1 for 5 at the line. Do you see anything in terms of form that he's doing wrong?
Well, it's his concentration right now. Most of free throw shooting comes down to concentration and execution.
1 for 6 from the line is David Robinson. McKee saves it to Kerr. Into Robinson, but he was out of bounds when he took the pass. At least that's what they're saying, that he'd come from out of bounds. So Puerto Rico has it on the turnover. 11:41 left in the game. The United States leading by 5. 57-52. Angel Cruz feeds Rivas, and his shot is blocked by Cycli. Fine play by Ronnie Cycli, who blocked 97 shots last year at Syracuse. That's more than Syracuse opponents had. McKee. Derek McKee with 12 points. That is McKee. He and Sean Elliott do look a lot alike, about the same size. McKee getting more playing time of the two so far in this tournament. Three-pointer by Fabris. Orlando Fabris with his first basket of the game to cut the United States lead to 4.
Just by making the extra pass, playing unselfish basketball, the Puerto Rican team comes up with a great three-point shot.
Cycli. Back out to Kerr. Kenny Smith. Shot clock down to 12 seconds. Cycli gets the roll.
I like this combination right now of the two big people for us. Both can score a little on offense, and both can help us defensively.
Sosa from the outside. McKee clears it out to Kenny Smith. Sosa by himself on defense. Rivas up with a rebound. Clears it out to Cruz, but the big man Robinson is back on defense. Made him change the shot.
He thought about that when he got up in the air and said, where am I going now?
Steve Kerr. Cycli keeps it alive, and Rivas comes down with it for the Puerto Rican team. 9:57 left. A 6-point U.S. lead. And Edgar Leon scores.
Transition basketball. We're seeing it now. Both teams going up and down, and whichever one can convert the easy basket, obviously, has a big advantage here.
The United States with a 4-point lead. 9:37 remaining. David Robinson wants the basket. Not a good shot. Fabris. Cruz. Fabris, who hit a three-pointer a moment ago, and with the fake, he drew McKee out, and Derek McKee committed the foul. Off the mark by Jose Sosa, but Mincy has the loose ball. Mincy, who just came back in, Derek McKee a moment ago, picked up his 4th foul for the United States team, and he is still on the floor.
No, right now the United States team has gotten completely away from any type of offensive system. There's just first pass, shot goes up, not good shot selection.
Cruz on the dish off. Sosa scores for Puerto Rico, his first basket of the game to cut the U.S. lead to 2 at 61-59. Muggsy Bogues back in at guard. They've played the best when he's been in there running the show, and he's logged a lot of minutes tonight on a hot night. Kerr throws it back out to Bogues. Elliott is open, and Sean Elliott pounds it home.
He needed that one badly. He's been struggling from the floor. He needs to find what his range is. He sometimes gets a step or two outside of his range, and that's not his best shot then.
Number 12, Tom Hammonds of Georgia Tech, coming into the game for the first time. And
we'll return with more Turner Network Television Goodwill Games coverage after this from our local stations.
Before we go back to our USA-Puerto Rico men's basketball game in Spain, I wanted to remind you that the USA-Czechoslovakia volleyball game with the women is continuing. When we last left that game, the U.S. women had lost game 1, but they've made a comeback and have won the next 2 games. It's best of 5. We'll be going back to that game after our men's basketball in a little while. So you stay with us and we'll continue our coverage of the U.S. women's volleyball. But right now, let's go back to Mel Proctor, Mike Fratello in Malaga, Spain.
The United States trying to improve their record to 4-0. They lead Puerto Rico 63-59 with 8:27 remaining in the game, and the Puerto Rican team bent on an upset.
The Puerto Rican team came tonight determined to show that they were a better team than they had played the past 2 games. They felt there was no way that the Chinese team should have beat them last night. They played the type of ball they were capable of playing against Germany. They still have an opportunity here to make it into the second round. It was a must game for them this evening.
The United States beat the Ivory Coast 99-63, China 107-81, and Monday beat West Germany 81-68. But this is their stiffest test so far, leading by 4 with over 8 minutes left. Bogues applying the pressure to number 10, Angel Cruz. And a foul off the ball. Tom Hammonds decked Jerome Mincy. So Hammonds, who just came in, is charged with his first foul. He didn't play at all in the first half. Neither Hammonds nor Armand Gilliam saw any action.
Well, this is tough for Hammonds, just coming off the bench, and he winds up playing the guy that Puerto Rico is going to the most. a guy who's been in the game, warmed up, feels real good, and there's a lot of contact there.
The United States 63, Puerto Rico 59, 8:09 remaining. Three-pointer. Mario Morales connects. He has 18 points.
If we're going to play that 2-3 zone, we must remember who the people are for Puerto Rico and push out on the great shooters.
The United States leads by 1. They're sagging off Bogues. They want him to take the jump shot. Not even looking for the shot. He goes into Charles Smith, and it's blocked. Sosa to Cruz. Steal by Bogues. What a play. Kerr is open. Looked like he hurried the shot, but Hammonds grabs the rebound. And that's his first basket of the game to put the U.S. back up by 3.
Think about how big that defensive play was by Tyrone Bogues. Steals the ball when Puerto Rico had a chance to go up by 1 and turns it around into a basket.
The fans in Spain absolutely have fallen in love with Tyrone Bogues. They go wild every time he gets his hands on the ball. Torres on the turnaround. Tom Hammonds with a rebound. Here's Muggsy Bogues in the open court. Cruz picks him clean. Cruz on a breakaway. That's the first basket for Angel Cruz tonight. The United States lead is cut to 1, 65-64, 6:45 left.
We may need to come back with Kenny Smith now. We need a little bit more offense in here for the United States, and I think what Coach Olson is doing, he's waiting for the right time to bring back the starting players.
You called it, Coach. Kenny Smith is on his way to the scorer's table. He'll be back in first opportunity. And a costly turnover by the United States. Puerto Rico has a chance to take the lead. Sosa, three-pointer. And Puerto Rico takes the lead, 67-65 on a three-pointer by Jose Sosa.
Well, this is a test now for the United States team. It's the first time they've been in a situation like this. Down, 6 minutes left in the game. It'll show what this team is made of, Mel.
Kerr can't get off the shot. Sean Elliott on the miss. Mincy with a rebound. Puerto Rico with a chance to go up by 4 or by 5 if they should hit a three-pointer. Cruz trying to go coast to coast, and it's off his leg out of bounds. Lute Olson will make a change. Last minute instructions for Kenny Smith.
Kenny Smith coming in for Kerr, trying to give him that quick backcourt.
So Bogues and Smith are in the backcourt. Hammond, Elliott, and Charles Smith up front. 5:44 left. The U.S. down by 2. Hammond's posting up. They go into Charles Smith. He's in double figures with 10 points, and he knocks the score at 67. Angel Cancel saw his team take the lead. Now the score is tied. Mincy working against Tom Hammonds. Two big, strong forwards. Morales gets Elliott off his feet. Puerto Rico with a new 30-second count. Mincy on the pull-up. And it'll be Puerto Rico's possession with 5:05 left, and the score tied at 67.
Now, Puerto Rico has really out-hustled us here in the second half for many of their second shots. They're giving themselves more opportunities to shoot the basketball.
David Robinson, Derek McKee waiting to get back in the game. Lopez out of control, and he's fouled by Muggsy Bogues. So Bogues commits the foul. That's his second of the game. Tom Hammonds, Sean Elliott leave. David Robinson is back in along with Derek McKee. 5 minutes left. The score tied at 67. The United States is unbeaten, but being seriously challenged tonight by Puerto Rico as they try to stay alive and advance to the second round.
The United States has the team on the floor that got them that 7-point lead. Let's see if they can come back and open it up here.
Torres' shot is short. David Robinson had a hand in his face, made him fall away on the shot.
And Charles Smith did a great job of blocking out that time. Forced his man under the backboard.
The United States attempting to regain the lead with the score tied 67-all. 4:42 remaining in the game. Robinson wants the ball. having a tough time getting it into him. Now he moves to the other side, and a holding foul is called on Jerome Mincy trying to guard David Robinson.
There's no way that Mincy should be able to guard David Robinson in the low post there. As we see here, he's just giving up too much size. He just needs to push him to get him out of there. Otherwise, it's going to be 2 points.
Neither team is in the penalty situation yet. That's the third foul on Mincy. The U.S. has committed 7 fouls. Puerto Rico 6. Takes 8 to get to the penalty situation. Torruellas leaves. And back in is Francisco Leon for Puerto Rico, number 14.
The United States has lost many easy points tonight from the foul line. They haven't made their free throws. In a tight ball game, it becomes critical.
Steve Kerr is back in for the U.S., replacing Bogues.
Well, let's keep in mind, this is the normal starting backcourt for the U.S. team. Obviously, Lute Olson feels they need some perimeter shooting and some more size in the game right now. So they'll run Smith as the point guard and Kerr as the shooting guard.
Derek McKee has his shot blocked. Puerto Rico can take the lead with 4:19 remaining in the game. We're tied at 67. Federico Lopez picked up by Steve Kerr. Leon was screened for Lopez. Leon rolls to the basket, but he couldn't return the pass. Leon. Robinson banged around, but still grabs the rebound. Mincy steals it. Smith clears it out to Kerr. Great action in the World Championships. Robinson, shot blocked by Leon. We're still tied at 67. Leon shot, hammered away by McKee. Kenny Smith to the basket.
We're seeing some outstanding defensive plays at both.
Audio transmission problem from Spain. This is Bob Neal in Moscow. The score is 69-67 USA, just over 4 minutes. Derek McKee there with a foul on Mario Morales. We've lost our audio for a moment. We are working on it. We're going to, while they have a foul shot here, we're going to take a break, try to fix that audio, and then we'll be right back. Stay with us, please, from Malaga, Spain. This is Bob Neal in Moscow. We're working on the audio problem from Spain. I believe we just about have it cleared up, but we'll cover from here in Moscow while you watch this video transmission from Malaga. Mario Morales at the line. He was fouled just before we took the commercial break by Derek McKee. That foul shot will make the score now 69-68. The United States leading Puerto Rico. So Morales has hit the first of his 1-and-1. And I believe we're just about got that audio problem cleared up. Let's see if we can return to Spain now in the continuation.
There was a concern that Puerto Rico might come out tonight trying to prove a point, and they certainly have.
Leon on the tip-in. Edgar Leon gives Puerto Rico the lead, 70-69.
Once again, no box out by the U.S. team on a free throw. That's the third time this half they've given up the second shot on a missed free throw by Puerto Rico.
The U.S. would like to go inside to Robinson, but Mincy's doing a good job on him. The shot clock down to 14 seconds. Steve Kerr, Charles Smith, 8 on the shot clock. Elliott pinned along the baseline. They're going to have to hurry. 2 seconds on the shot clock. Desperation shot. And it's out of bounds to Puerto Rico. The U.S. took too much time, and the Puerto Ricans have a 1-point lead in the ball.
Puerto Rico played great defense that time. Helped in the post area with a new. They got trapped down in the corner, not in good position.
And Lute Olson is concerned. His team down by 1 with 2:30 left. They lob inside to Leon. And it'll be Puerto Rico's ball.
We're reaching instead of going after the basketball to catch it now. We're just trying to knock it out of there, not going strong.
2:27 remaining. Puerto Rico by 1. Correa. Robinson with a strong rebound. The U.S. attempts to take the lead. Kenny Smith against Lopez. Robinson sets up on the low post. They move the ball to the other side. They took too much time on their last possession, and a foul is called on Francisco Leon, reaching over the top of Charles Smith.
Bill, at this time of the game with 2 minutes left, down 1 point or a score tie, that you have to find players who want the basketball, players who are willing to take the big shot in this situation, and for this inexperienced team, it's a time for them to learn a lot about themselves.
That's the third foul on Francisco Leon, the 17th foul. Puerto Rico leads by 1, 2 minutes left. Sean Elliott has the ball stripped away. Charles Smith has it, but brings it down, almost loses it. Robinson misses the stop, and it's out of bounds. It looked like it rolled off the leg of a Puerto Rican player, but they're going to give the ball to Puerto Rico. I think the Puerto Rican team got a break on that call. Leon, Robinson takes it down. It's still 70-69 Puerto Rico. Minute 38 left. Sean Elliott. Elliott has it stripped away and a foul is called.
These referees are watching this game now become very physical, and they're getting caught up in the emotion and excitement. We see here on the replay, Elliott makes a great second effort to get the ball back again and finally get a whistle.
Foul is called on Wesley Correa of Puerto Rico. Both teams in the penalty situation now. Mario Morales leaves. Well, he's just going over to the sidelines to get a towel, and it's that kind of night. Hot, humid inside. It's over 100 degrees, no air conditioning. Morales remains in. Sean Elliott of Arizona at the free throw line. And we're tied at 70 with a minute 31 left.
Big decision now by the United States team, depending on whether or not Elliott makes this basket. Do you go man-to-man? Do you go zone? Remember the three-point shot. Remember opt-out responsibility.
Elliott with 2 pressure free throws to give the Americans a lead. 71-70. A minute 29 left in the game as the United States tries to remain unbeaten. Puerto Rico attempting to stay alive and avoid elimination. Morales is open. 21 points for Morales. Puerto Rico leads. That score is incorrect. It's 72-71 Puerto Rico. A minute 9 left.
We gamble on defense on their best shooter, Morales. We can't do that.
David Robinson got it. And the United States regains the lead, 73-72. Robinson with 19 points. Less than a minute remaining. What a game.
We need a big defensive play right here, a stopper. We understand they're going to Mincy or Morales for the score. Those are their 2 money players.
Correa off a screen by Mincy. And Kerr strips the ball away. Charles Smith has it. The U.S. has the ball in a 1-point lead. 35 seconds left. Lute Olson barking out instructions. Kenny Smith with a 15-footer. And we've got a whistle.
Phil, Kenny Smith completely lost sight of the time and the score, the 2 most important things. We had the clock in our favor with the basketball, leading by a point. We got a 15 or 16-foot jump shot up when we could have run more time off the clock or forced them to foul us.
Foul has been called on David Robinson. So Puerto Rico will shoot 2 free throws. The U.S. leads 73-72 with 24 seconds left. Federico Lopez back in for Puerto Rico. They go with Lopez. Jose Sosa is in. Mincy, Morales, and Frankie Toroeas. For the United States, Kerr, Kenny Smith, Charles Smith, Elliott, and Robinson. Jerome Mincy at the line. His first free throws of the night. He's had another strong game. And he missed the shot. The U.S. has the ball. Now if they can run out the clock, they can win it. They lead by 1. And Lopez got away with a foul. Kenny Smith gets it back. 14 seconds left. They're trying to run out the clock. The U.S. by 1. 9 seconds. 8. Kenny Smith shot blocked. Why did he take the shot? Here comes Morales. And that's it. The United States has held on to win it. Holy mackerel, what a game.
Now, I can't believe that Kenny Smith has made 2 mental mistakes like this down the stretch. We're very fortunate to get out of this game with a win tonight. We had the basketball and the game on. No need for the shot.
And the fans, the sellout crowd at La Ciudad Jardín in Malaga on their feet as we look at a heartbroken Mario Morales who fired in 21 points tonight and just missed a shot that would have won it for Puerto Rico.
Keep in mind that Mario Morales took that ball short to the other and got a great shot off and just rolled off the rim.
Tremendous basketball game. Maybe the best game of the tournament so far. David Robinson and Kenny Smith leading the way for the U.S. Mario Morales with a tremendous game for the Puerto Rican team. And this crowd still on their feet, applauding the efforts of both clubs.
The crowd appreciates good basketball. They were rooting for Puerto Rico to upset the United States, but they know both teams played their hearts out. Give credit to Puerto Rico. They played an outstanding game.
And so the United States remains unbeaten, improving their record to 4 wins and no losses and gearing up for a showdown with another unbeaten team from Italy. The final score tonight, the United States 73, Puerto Rico 72.
For the talent of the Goodwill games has been provided by the John White's companies.
They are loving the basketball at the Men's World Championships in Spain. Hope you had an opportunity to see all of that ball game between the USA and Puerto Rico. USA 73, Puerto Rico 72. Reminds me of the 76 Olympics when the USA was on their way to winning a gold medal that year. USA team with Adrian Dantley. They beat Puerto Rico 95-94 in a cliffhanger like this one when Marquette's Butch Lee was playing for Puerto Rico, if you might remember that. By the way, we have more women's basketball coverage from the Goodwill Games tournament coming up tonight. USA team undefeated still in the women's play against Bulgaria. And also rhythmic gymnastics started today, and we'll have some coverage of that a little bit later. But right now, we're going back to women's volleyball. When we last left the women's volleyball game, the U.S. women were trailing Czechoslovakia 1-0. Remember, they still have a slim chance for a gold medal bracket. And while we've been gone, the U.S. women have won the next 2 games and are now leading in Game 4. So let's rejoin volleyball action.
Czechoslovakia, trying to mount the rally they need to get back into this 4th game with the United States, have scored a couple of points. Still trail it, though, by 13-3.
Tough dig.
Kemner drives it deep. Czechoslovakia at the net, having trouble handling it. Way back. One more chance to get it over, and they do fairly softly. Set up now for Boyette, far side. Here is Kemner. She can't get the point. At the net, Boyette again putting it up. Good rally underway.
Real good rally. The Americans come up off it. That was a real good point.
Just caught the line over there. Side out, so the U.S. trying to serve now for the 2 points they need to win the match and this 4th game, leading 13-3.
Well, everybody was digging really well on that. Both teams, you have to give them credit. And Czechoslovakia did a good job keeping the ball alive, and Odin and Kemner right there at the net, and the ball just trickled in for them.
Here is the jump serve of Weisfab. And he's given Czechoslovakia fits on occasions from time to time. Good play at the net there. Odin up from the right side, driven deep by Karen Kemner. Now the Czechs sending it deep to the U.S. zone. Here's Mattei keeping it up. Little dig shot attempt at the net was blocked. Boyette up and blocked by Czechoslovakia. Smartly by Mandalova. So it is side out to Czechoslovakia.
Good defensive movement by Czechoslovakia. They were able to get running across that net back and forth and blocking against the Americans. Kemner right into the net, or right into the blocker, I should say.
Barakova with the serve. Blocked, sent deep.
Free ball.
1, 2, and 3 for the spike off the hands of the Americans over there. Kirby. And so Czechoslovakia's 4th point is on the board, trailing 13-4.
Czechoslovakia getting their run off the Americans because they're not passing the ball well right now. Michelle Boyette having to hustle to different spots to try and set the ball to her hitters.
Now the Czechs may be in trouble, but they sure don't want to quit. They're not about to take an early exit out of this match, even though they're 9 points down in the potentially final 4th game.
That time, Boyette making a nice outside set to Carolyn Kirby, and Kirby using the block well, but only because of the pass that time. It was good.
The 19-year-old Odin serve, driven deep, and it is successful by Czechoslovakia. So it is side out to the Czechs, and it must be half a dozen times or more now, and the United States has had the service opportunities to get the couple of points they need to wrap it up, and they have not been able to do it.
And Simona Mandalova, who you've just seen, did a nice job going down with that kill.
Kept alive. Bonds at the net. Mandalova.
Good hustle.
And they get it over finally.
Americans over.
One too many. So the Americans will have the service at 13-4.
You know, we said time and again that this floor wiping, what it'll do, not only get the sweat off the floor, but it can stop the momentum of one of the teams if they have that.
Yep, it sure can. And the U.S. has been lacking in that finishing momentum here to put this away. But there is a point right there. Gives them 14. They are now 1 away from this match.
They finished that one off really well with Carolyn Kirby and Marcia Bond up at the net for that key block.
The score is 14-4.
Kemner serving for the match for the United States and their first victory in the women's volleyball competition here at the Goodwill Games. They don't get it.
Well, Michelle Boyette wasn't over there to set the ball, and Marcia Bond had to make a complete circle, turn around. She was looking for Kirby to take it, but Kirby had her back to the ball.
So Simona Mandalova, Czechoslovakia, stubbornly clinging to survival here in this match.
Nice pass.
And the Americans will have a side out and a chance to win it right now.
Again, Kirby and Bond tougher than that.
Kirby will be serving. Again, match point for the U.S.
Overset.
Boyette, Bond, and they just do keep it in play, but it is out, and the United States has finally defeated Czechoslovakia by winning this fourth game 15-4. They reeled off 3 in a row, having lost the first 11-15. They took game 2 16-14, the third 15-10, and now this one by a comfortable, although prolonged, 15-4 margin.
The Americans really kept the heat on against Czechoslovakia in this fourth game. They really attacked well, and the biggest thing is they served well. Their serving and passing has been much, much better in this match than it has in the whole tournament.
So the U.S. and the Czechs shake hands all around for a hard-fought match, and they both come out at 1 and 2 in the round robin and have to wait for the other teams in this area to see how and when which of these teams will advance to the next round of competition.
Coverage of the Goodwill Games. We're going to go back now to Lennon Stadium, where the high jump bar has been moved to 7 feet 8 inches. Only 3 competitors remain at that height, and one of them is American Doug Nordquist.
Back with the high jump competition, Charlie Neal and Craig Masback. Doug Nordquist right now with his second attempt as we move the bar to 7 feet 8 inches. He missed his first attempt at 7 feet 8.
Doug looked a little tentative on his first attempt, but he's the only American left. Jim Howard, who was a co-favorite with Doug to do well in this competition. Oh, he clears it, Charlie.
Another great jump. I'll tell you, he really shows how happy he can get after clearing it, no matter what height it is, doesn't he?
Well, he's a pumped-up kind of guy. He's, of course, former drum major at Washington State University. He knows how to get the crowd excited, no question about that. And he is popular with this Soviet crowd.
But you know, one of the things that's kind of interesting is he's lucky to even be here because he missed actually officially registering at the TAC meet. He got there a little late. He had to beg his way into the meet that qualified him to come here to the Goodwill Games.
But he won that competition, of course, made this team, and he's really hot here. He's been doing well all over Europe in the meets leading up to this, and obviously happy with that performance.
Doug Nordquist, 7 foot 8.
And that's his personal best, by the way, Charlie.
And he clears it on his second attempt. Now, here's Igor Pacolet, his second attempt at 7 foot 8. Now, he is the world record holder. He holds the record at 7 feet 10, 3/4 inches. He set it last September.
Watch his thigh. He's a little ungainly as he approaches the bar. Oh, he hit it with his calf and it came down.
It did come down. Boy, I'll tell you, look at the disappointment on his face. Pacolet, his second attempt at 7 foot 8. He missed his first. And he had a heartbreaker right there, and you can see it written all over his face, the world record holder.
No, we mentioned earlier that there were some other world record holders in this event. Zhu Jianhua of the People's Republic of China, Rudolf Parvanitsin of the Soviet Union, and Gerhard Wessig of East Germany are already out of this competition. Watch the speed that he generates as he approaches, and he really jumped pretty well here. You can see him reach over, throws his head way back, but he just sort of hung in the air a little bit too much, and it was his right calf that hit the bar.
And the bar is shaking and finally falls off. So Pacolet misses his second attempt at 7 feet 8. Now, we go to the young man, Soren Mattei. Mattei from Romania. This is his third attempt at 7-8. Now, he has to make this one to stay in the competition.
And he really is a favorite of the crowd. They can't believe that he's jumping so far over his head. You know, his style depends so much on his pure athletic ability, and I really think that he just was kind of worn down from the long competition. You can see he's not quite as fast as he was. We see some American spectators actually in the stands.
Well, he's eliminated with that miss of his third attempt at 7 feet 8.
See if you can see it, Charlie. What he's got to do is generate this speed, then make the quick turn that's going to allow him to throw his leg up, throw his arms up, and then snake his body over. And you can see he's just not quite as flexible, not quite as acrobatic as we saw him in the earlier jumps.
So Mattei from Romania eliminated from the high jump competition. Next is Igor Pacolet. Now, this is his third attempt. Remember, just a moment ago, we saw the bar come off on his second attempt at 7 feet 8. This is his third attempt. Nordquist is playing the role of the bridesmaid right now, because if Pacolet makes it, well, the bar will be raised up to 7 8 3/4. If not, Nordquist wins.
No, he misses there, and he's disappointed from his hometown crowd.
A very, very disappointed Igor Pacolet, the world record holder from the Soviet Union, and we'll watch his third attempt at 7-8 once again.
Well, you know, the Soviets are great technicians. They generally teach their athletes the technique first and then worry about jumping high. But he really didn't seem to have it tonight. I have to think that Pacolet at least is pointing a little bit towards the later meets of the season, the European Championships, perhaps.
So looking at the final standings in the men's high jump, Nordquist of the United States wins a gold at 7 foot 8. That's his personal best. Pacolet a silver medal, and Mattei a bronze.
That's a great win for Doug Nordquist.
Of the United States, who's already won a gold medal in the men's high jump. He cleared 7 foot 8 inches. Now he's already decided he's going to go for the American record, which is 7 8 1/2, set by Jim Howard. What you're seeing now was his first attempt at 7 8 3/4. He was going after the new American record.
And here we get a good view, a slow motion view of the high jump. Look at him concentrating on the bar. Plants that foot parallel, drives up the opposite knee. I think he took off a little too far away from the bar, and he catches it on the way down.
So that was his first attempt at the new American record, 7 8 3/4. You're looking at Doug Nordquist of the United States. Now here is his second attempt at 7 8 3/4.
Again, he had a good approach. You can see this good close-up, the tension, the torque on the body as he goes up. This time he didn't have quite the height.
Bar almost stayed
better
there.
Technique. He took off from a better position, and you can see a little bit upset with himself on that one.
So we've seen his first 2 attempts. He missed. This is his third and final attempt coming up of the new American record that he's attempting, 7 8 3/4.
Again, you see him imagining his approach to the bar. He wants to think through every movement. He's got to combine so many different technical aspects to the high jump.
Just not enough. He misses his third attempt, but he's still happy with his performance. He's still going home with the gold medal. Let's watch that third jump once again.
Hey, Charlie, he beat the current world record holder plus 3 former world record holders. I mean, that's a tremendous victory for him.
Interpreter of
his third attempt at the new American record.
You can see him accelerate as he comes to the bar, trying to generate the speed that he can. Oh, yeah. Caught it with his legs. Just didn't have the snap that he needed to have to bring his legs over.
So the gold medal in the men's high jump at the Goodwill Games goes to Doug Nordquist of the United States, who jumped 7 foot 8. That's a personal record for him.
And, of course, second and third place on the men's high jump went to Igor Pacolet of the Soviet Union and Romania's Soren Mattei. We are going to have more coverage from our Goodwill Games headquarters here, so don't go away. We'll be right back.
You on the volleyball situation. As you know, the women's team came from behind to win tonight over Czechoslovakia 3 games to 1, and they still had a potential chance to get in the medal round. Well, I'm happy to tell you, if you're an American volleyball fan, that luck was on the side for the first time in a long time of the U.S. women's volleyball team, because Japan beat North Korea 3-0. That means North Korea did not beat the U.S. in total number of games won in their division, and that's what broke the tie between the U.S., North Korea, and Czechoslovakia. So in Group B, the USA's group, it will now be Japan and the USA playing the top 2 teams in Group A. And I believe those 2 teams, and correct me if I'm wrong in the control room there, are USSR and Peru. So those will be the medalists in the second round and the playing for the gold and the silver and the bronze in women's volleyball. So good news if you're a women's volleyball team. The little team that tried so hard that everybody wrote off came from behind even tonight to defeat Czechoslovakia and will advance to medal play. We'll continue with our coverage of the Goodwill Games right after this. Please stay with us. Well, we're finishing the reporting of a tremendous day in track and field at Lennon Stadium. First of all, on the 100-meter sprint, you probably have heard by now that Ben Johnson of Canada defeated Carl Lewis in the 100-meter sprint. Carl Lewis finished third. Ben Johnson ran a 9.95, and that is right. You're hearing it right, a 9.95 in the 100-meter. Carl Lewis, finishing third, ran a 10.06. In the 400-meter intermediate hurdles, Edwin Moses today went for and won his 111th consecutive hurdles race, and he won the gold for the United States. Actually, he was running independently because he was invited here and not as a part of the United States team. Edwin Moses' story continues. He ran a great time today of 47.96 in the 400-meter hurdles, the second fastest time this year. And Edwin Moses came over after the competition to our studios here at Ostankino on the north side of Moscow to talk to our Nick Charles.
You're looking at Edwin Moses, the master of the 400-meter hurdles, and he stretched his winning streak to an astonishing 111 Wednesday night at the Goodwill Games in Lennon Stadium, when Edwin Moses won the gold medal. Edwin, congratulations. Thanks for being here, and you dispelled a lot of notions that perhaps you were falling off form. You hadn't run...
Well, they say that about a lot of athletes.
How long have they been saying that about you?
You get above 30 years old and the talk starts, but I still feel good, and I've come back from the injuries that I had last year, and I feel like I'm really in a good position for the rest of the season.
Tell me about the pressure to perform. It isn't a question of winning with you anymore. It's a question of not losing. Is there any fear that enters your mind that you're going to stumble and lose and blow it at this point?
Well, of course, I can always trip over a hurdle and fall like any other hurdler, but that's the reason I train and put in so many hours to not do that. And this particular meet had a little bit of pressure in it because of the location and the fact that it's being broadcast so widely, so that always puts pressure on the race. But as an athlete and as a person who's been in big meets before, you learn how to deal with that.
What about the Soviet Union and running here?
The facility is excellent. I think that you'll always hear a lot of complaints, but I'm here to run, and I came here to run, and that's what I came to do. And I really don't worry about a lot of all the other things that people commonly talk about.
Do you, because you're such a cut above everybody else, you have been #1 for so long, do you worry about the other runners, or do you race against yourself?
I usually worry about what I'm going to do in the race and how I'm going to execute, and I only concern myself with my training on a daily basis or each individual meet as it comes, and no more than that.
And tonight, for example?
Tonight I was thinking about just winning tonight's race. I'm not thinking about a streak or the fact that I've won 110 races, because that doesn't really count for anything. And right now what I'm going to do is concentrate on my training, go back to train, and get ready for my next race.
You seem to harbor part of the Edwin Moses mystique in that you're a little reticent to talk about your training. It's high quality? Is it out in the open?
It's high quality at this time of the year, competition time, but I've been doing a lot of cross-country running, a lot of power work, and a lot of work to make sure that I'm back at full strength. And the intense speed, the type of speed that it will take for me to run a world record will come later on in the season.
Edwin, all champions have an aura of invincibility, the kind of thing that says, I can't be beaten. Do you feel you intimidate people out there?
I'm not really sure. I've been told that I do, but I don't really worry about whether I'm intimidating a guy or not. I just want to beat them physically out on the track.
Okay, so what's ahead, and what do you have left to prove?
Well, I'd like to run under 47 seconds. That's my main concern, and I think I'm on track right now. My second race was a good race, and I figured that I was in this kind of condition. And after a few more races, I'll be running a lot more smoothly, and I'll have a lot more speed.
Finally, the Goodwill Games in particular, multi-level international competition in general. Does it really help promote peace and understanding?
I think so. I think that Mr. Turner and Bob Woosley have done a great job in putting this together, and it's, I really appreciate the opportunity to come to the Soviet Union and compete because I've never been here before. And it's exciting for the people back in the States to see us come here and see us win. And it's an experience, and it's one that a lot of people don't have the opportunity to cherish. And I'm just glad that I came out a winner.
Final thing, any eye-opening experience you want to share with the American public, your visit to Moscow?
Not really. It's been pretty normal for me. I think that I came here and I've been concentrating on my training. I've been training every day and pretty much staying in the hotel and just getting a lot of rest. That's pretty much what I've been doing. I took a tour to Red Square and went through very quickly because I had to go from there direct to the track. But other than that, I've enjoyed it. I find the people to be quite nice and quite receptive.
I think the people of the world have enjoyed Edwin Moses. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks to Edwin Moses. What a wonderful fellow. I had opportunity to work with him to cover some track meets in the indoor season in the United States. And when he said what he was doing here is comes, he trains, he goes to the track, he goes to the hotel, he goes to the track. Sounds like the television workers. Go to the hotel, go to the TV station. Could be in Detroit, but actually we're not. We are in Moscow, and the Goodwill games are
like
moving along. It does sound a little bit like it. USA and Bulgaria basketball, women's action coming up?
Yes, women's basketball is kind of winding down here with the Goodwill games. We have a key game between the United States still in it, playing Bulgaria. We're going to pick up some second-half action for you towards the latter moments of the game. 2 minutes and 40 seconds left, with the United States leading 62-56 at Gruzbach. Let's go to the action.
2:40 left to play in the game. The United States leading 62-56. Cheryl Miller over Slopcheva, knocked out of bounds by Katrina McLean. Plenty of time for this Bulgarian team to get in. They trailed by 8 early into this second half, and all of a sudden they went ahead, and the American team has done a marvelous job in fighting back to regain the lead, Bill.
And the way they were shooting early in the second half, they only need 2 shots to catch up.
Shasheva to Manova, and that's Shasheva three-pointer. Danova with the rebound. Makafieva taken away by Katrina McLean. Great play. Cheryl Miller. It's 4 against 3. They find Edwards underneath. She's fouled by Shasheva, and that will be the penalty. Teresa Edwards to the free throw line.
And another excellent pass by Cheryl Miller. She's got such great court awareness and good basketball sense, Rick.
She certainly does, Bill. And the one thing that I think has won for this American team throughout the competitions thus far has been their defense. It's been the most consistent part of the game. And you, of course, with your reputation of having played defense, it's silly for me to be telling you that that can be the most consistent part, but it's been very impressive.
Well, that's one of the reasons for that is that when you are well coached and you work hard at it, you can play good defense because it's not instinct, it's planning.
And give a lot of the credit to the coaching staff here. Head coach Kay Yao out of the North Carolina State University. Impressive winning record, Bill. 75.7% in college, 325 for wins, 104 for losses. And, of course, she has a great staff in Marion Stanley from Old Dominion. And also Sylvia Hatchell, who was NAIA National Coach of the Year. And Ann Donovan will go to the free throw line after she gets yet another offensive rebound. She leads the entire tournament in that department as long as rebound total.
Well, she's sure taking advantage of her greatest asset, being rather tall. And she's a good free throw shooter.
That matches the biggest lead of the ball game for the American team, which was enjoyed with 14:56 to play in this second half at 47-39. So at 64-56, and Donovan with a chance to improve on that.
And Rick,
2:01 left to play.
With 2:01, if she can score, make this other free throw and then make a couple more baskets, they won't need for the Bulgarians to roll over.
Well, the Bulgarians did a great rollover job against the Soviet team after battling them fairly well in the first half. The coach didn't even play the starters, but he has elected not to do that against the American team. I don't understand why.
Coach's decision, Rick.
I see. There's the constant pressure on the part of the American defenders. Knocked away by Teresa Edwards, the lady we talked about how she makes things go for this U.S. team. She's done it with defense. She has 21 points offensively, and it's been those type of plays that have been the success of this American women's basketball team in these Goodwill games. final 1:35 to play. Katrina McLean. That's Makafayeva.
Now if they can just cut down the three-point shot, they'll be okay.
Ivanova. Cheryl Miller again. And here come the Americans. 4 against 3. Cheryl Miller all the way. They call double dribbling on Cheryl Miller. Teresa Weatherspoon can't believe the call.
And neither can Cheryl Miller.
Vasilyeva, number 4.
I can, Rick. I can believe it.
Coming up on the final minute here. American team in control. They will be undefeated and will have the gold medal game more than likely against the Soviet Union team. Seconds and counting. Head coach Kay Yao, bottom right of your screen, shouting out some final instructions. Shot clock is down to 7. Cheryl Miller, and a fitting climax, I would say, for this U.S. team to have Cheryl Miller pop one in to put the icing on it. Their biggest lead of the game enjoyed with the final 15 seconds coming up. 67 to 56, knocked out of bounds by Teresa Edwards. We have 13 seconds now remaining, and the entire United States team is up cheering.
Rick, I'd say that Teresa Edwards is far and away the most valuable player for the American team in this particular game.
And Cheryl Miller's running a real close second, Bill. And Slapcheva, we hadn't seen her shoot hardly at all. We mentioned it, Bill. Her first points here. She has 23 points, and I think that they just took her out of the ball game. And the U.S. team comes away victorious. A very happy group of young ladies, and that coach, Kay Yao, the victorious coach, as the young women congratulate one another. The final here again in what was a very exciting ball game and a good test for this United States women's team. The United States of America 67, Bulgaria 58. For Bill Russell from the Druzhba Sports Arena, this is Rick Barry. The U.S. team will be playing for the gold tomorrow night.
And, of course, the graphic you just saw on your screen had the scores backwards. It was, of course, the United States winning that game, 67 to 58 over Bulgaria, which sets up the U.S. women's basketball team against the Soviets. Tomorrow night, we'll be bringing you that action, and this is for the championship. So those two undefeated teams ought to be exciting tomorrow. We hope you join us then. We're going to have more coverage for us that will be live, too. We were discussing that. That will be live coverage tomorrow night for you. We'll be back with more of our coverage after this. Don't go away.
Qualifying continued today in the cycling events at the Olympic Velodrome. Let's go to Paul Wright now for a report on cycling.
This has a definite Greek flavor to it.
How are you going to keep them down on the farm after they've seen St. Basil's? Well, Dave Lettieri didn't exactly ride out of a cornfield, but all of Scranton, PA will be waiting for an answer when he and his family return from Moscow. Dave is the 22-year-old American cyclist on his first trip to the Soviet Union.
The Soviets are going to want to show us a good time here and show us their city and have a good show for us. And I'm just interested to see how the whole thing looks to me in a personal viewpoint.
Oh, it's great. It's fabulous. Just like I thought. Like that before?
Yes, this has all the makings of a How I Spent My Summer Vacation essay for his classmates back at California's Loyola Marymount. And having his parents here has allowed them to ask those parental questions in person.
You've been eating all right? You have enough food there? Plenty of food there.
If he wasn't eating, he wouldn't be able to do this. This is Dave's primary purpose for being in Moscow. Actually, we're in Krylatskoye and the Velodrome. Now, this you won't find in Scranton or California. In fact, it's one of only 2 in the entire world, and it is fast.
Because it's indoor, which it eliminates the wind factor, and plus it's a wood surface, and the way the track is built, it's a very smooth track, and you don't have to concentrate on steering.
It's on this surface that Dave and his teammates will be facing their toughest competition. As expected, it comes from this neck of the woods, Eastern Europe.
I personally think it's their discipline and regiment. I mean, their organization is probably a little tighter knit than ours, and we want to do what we want. Since it's a free nation, we want to go with our sponsor, go to different races, and they seem to have just their program that deal with just international events and just the Olympic events.
It should be noted that if the U.S. had a velodrome like this in the high-altitude training ground of Colorado, records would tumble with regularity at the hands of American cyclists. That's Dave's opinion, but then he's got plenty on his mind already. His travel schedule, for instance. After the World Championships in Colorado Springs later this summer, he heads right to California, where it's back to school. No time to register himself, just barely enough time to get to class and turn in an essay on a summer vacation he'll never forget. But Dave's a pretty fast worker. In Krylotskaya for the Goodwill Games, I'm Paul Ryden.
And there you see young Dave Lettieri of the United States down on the track competing in the 4-kilometer team pursuit. Now, at this point in time, I have to qualify or clarify, if you will, the phrase pursuit in terms of international cycling. Reason being, last night, I'm afraid we passed on some erroneous information to you in terms of how the word pursuit is used in defining world record times. Now, last evening, we had told you that the world record in the 4-kilometer individual pursuit for men was lowered some 4 times by 4 different Soviets. First by Vasily Shpundov, next by Alexander Krasnov, third by Gentatis Umarus, and finally by Yakislav Yakimov with a time of 4:26:07, some 7 seconds off the existing record held by Umarus, 4:34:103. Today, when we arrived at the velodrome, we found out that that was not, in fact, a world record. World records in pursuit can only be set when they are set by one individual on the track at a time or one team on the track at a time. They cannot be counted as world records when you are competing against another individual or another team. Last night, all those Soviet records were, actually they weren't records, but all those times were turned in while competing against other individuals. So it would seem that, in essence, if we were talking about track and field, in order to hold a world record in the 100-meter run, you would have to run it alone and not in a field or a heat. And my colleague, Jonathan Boyer, was as much surprised by those results as I was. John, you've been in the sport 15 years. Have you ever heard anything like that before?
Actually, I have not. I was always under the impression that no matter when you get out on the track, whether you're competing against someone else or competing alone, that you could break a world record. But evidently, you cannot.
Supposing we ran the Boston Marathon one at a time, it would take months.
I think that would be ridiculous.
At any rate, now that we've tried to clarify that for you, we can tell you that there were, in fact, 2 world records set yesterday by individuals, both in the 200-meter flying start. The first by Mikhail Hubner of East Germany, 44:43. I'm sorry, that was his speed. The record time was 10:22:4. And secondly, in the women's, it was Erika Salume of the Soviet Union with a time of 11:4:89. All right, we are back. A little under 4 laps to go. The United States team of David Brinton, number 59, Tim Hintz, 62, Dave Lettieri, 63, and Carl Sundquist, 65. Out on the track, the world record in the 4K team pursuit, 4:14:264.
These riders, they've got off to a very good start. They look pretty good. They're not as smooth as probably they could be, but they're really cranking out there.
Would you say that they're not quite as smooth and precise because they're a very young team?
They are a very young team. None of these riders were in the Olympics when they got the silver medal, but they all are very good riders, and it looks like they're trying their hardest and really going for a good time here. David Lettieri is the only one on the team who was 5th in the World Championships in the team pursuit last year.
Brinton, Hintz, Lettieri, and Sundquist.
You'll note, too, that they all have disc wheels. All have disc wheels front and rear, and they have the small wheel disc wheels, both all 26-inch wheels. And you'll notice, too, that they have long-sleeve jerseys, plasticized suits, helmets, aerodynamic in every way.
They hit the bell lap at 3:59:26.
Which is a good time. They're going to be about 4:19:420.
Here they come. Nice round of applause from the crowd for the United States team as they head toward the finish line. 4:17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 27, 4:21:27 for the United States.
That's a very good time, especially since this is the first time this team has competed internationally together.
Last night, in the 4-kilometer individual pursuit, the Soviets went 1, 2, 3, and 4. In the process, Vacislav Yakimov set the fastest time in the world, although it wasn't a world record. And afterwards, they made it clear to us that that was only the beginning.
We are at home. We are in our track, and we want to win in team pursuit.
The Soviet team of Yakimov, Kamelinin, Krasnov, and Shpundov.
You'll notice, too, that they're taking 1/2 a lap per pole. That'll make it as fast as possible. If the riders did 1 lap, it wouldn't make it this fast. You'll note, too, that they all have disc wheels, front and rear. 2 laps to go, and they have got a very, very good time.
3:30.46.
That's going to put them very, very close to the world record time.
Again, that world record is 4:14.264. 2 of these riders are responsible for holding that record. Krasnov, number 50, and Vasily Shpundov, number 54. They come into the bell lap with a time of 3:51.51.
It looks like they're going to break the record. These guys are really going. You'll see the last rider, he just pulled off. The first 3 are going for it.
Here they come. The record, 4:14.264.
They're into their final sprint.
Looks like it's going to fall.
It's going to fall.
4:12.83, a new world record, and that also puts the Soviet team in first place. 4:12.83, that is indeed a world record for Vacislav Yakimov, Sergei Kamelinin, Alexander Krasnov, and Vasily Shpundov of the Soviet Union.
Unbelievable. They did their first 2 kilometers the same time as the last 2. They kept up the pace the whole time.
Much to the delight of this crowd here at the Olympic Velodrome at Krylatskaya.
Wanting to go into the lead either.
There you can see all 3 of these riders just balancing up on that bank. That's Niven to the left of your screen.
Oh, there goes Gary Newman.
Now Kovish takes off, and Garcia provides the chase.
Garcia way in back. Nikolai Kovish in second place. Gary Newman accelerating a bit.
Now Newman is high on that wall again. Garcia drops down low.
Taking the lead.
Now Kovish shoots out in front. It's Kovish, Newman, and Garcia. Nikolai Kovish on the lead as they enter the bell lap. They're going to start pouring it on now. Kovish, Newman, and Garcia high on the wall.
Now Kovish seems very much afraid of that. Gary Newman, there they go. Gary Newman.
Newman and Kovish, shoulder to shoulder as they round the curve. Ooh, look out. Almost bumped there. It's Kovish and Newman. It's going to be Kovish, Newman, and Garcia. This will be the final heat this evening in the men's sprints leading up to the quarterfinals. Out on the track right now, Mark Gorsky of the United States, just in front of Otar Mehedishvili of the Soviet Union and Renzo Sarti of Italy. Mehedishvili and Gorsky had won their heats. Sarti is in this race via repechage, rather.
Now 2 riders of each finish will go on to the 8 riders who will go into the quarterfinals.
And if you get down to that final round of 6, they'll see we'll see repechage one more time tomorrow night in the quarterfinals. There you see Mehedishvili and Gorsky and Sarti as we go into the bell lap. It's Otar Mehedishvili of the Soviet Union in front, followed by Mark Gorsky and Renzo Sarti dropping down. Now Gorsky follows his lead. Mark Gorsky and Renzo Sarti of Italy in a collision as they all drop down towards the pole line. Okay, here we're going to get another look at it. Now, as you can see, Sarti starts to drop low. Mehedishvili is still ahead of Gorsky, and they start to bunch up as they head towards the pole line.
Now, look, he does hit Gorsky's wheel, but it is not Gorsky's wheel. That Soviet rider just slammed right down into the pole line, and Gorsky was avoiding him. The Italian rider hits his rear wheel and goes down.
This is the final heat of the men's sprints. The American Mark Gorski and the Soviet Otar Mehedvishvili as they approach the final lap. High up on the bank, you can see them, Gorski out front.
Now here's Gorski into the last 200 meters.
Gorski drops down the wall. Otar Mehedvishvili right on his tail. Mark Gorski really pumping it now, heading on that pole line. Mark Gorski and Mehedvishvili. Lost control. Gorski lost control a little bit there. Jonathan, what do you think happened on that one?
Looks like the Russian rider was really going out of control into the last turn. It did not look like it was Gorski's fault at all. He starts to go out of control already right here up on the banks. He comes down too fast. Gorski goes up, and there he just loses it.
Oh, boy,
that
he hit
was
the apron.
Hard fall.
They're still attending to Otar Mehedvishvili. Hopefully he looks okay, but he really hit the deck. So it appears that the Soviet rider, Otar Mehedvishvili, is okay as he acknowledges the crowd. However, 2 consecutive warnings disqualify Mark Gorski from this heat. He will have one more chance to advance to the quarterfinals in a repechage. Mark Gorski out on the track ahead of Vratislav Schuster of Czechoslovakia. This is a repechage.
This is a repechage, but Mark Gorski must win this to go to the quarterfinals tomorrow. This is a bell lap. Gorski in the rear. He wants to start from the rear. High up on the bank. There he goes. Down. Gorski back up. Gorski going hard in the last turn. There he goes. Is he going to, is that Bakasa going through? Gorski winning. Yes, he's going to take it. He is in the quarterfinals for tomorrow.
So Gorski, via the repechage, advances to the quarterfinals. We will be bringing you the quarterfinals, among other events, tomorrow. Right now, it's time to say so long from the Olympic Velodrome at Krylatskaya. For Jonathan Boyer, I'm Kevin Christopher.
As we close out this section of our primetime coverage of the Goodwill Games, let's get you up to date on the medal count now that things are developing and a pattern is starting to form. And we take a look here at the top 2. And remember, when we look at any and refer to any medal counts in these Goodwill Games, that only the Soviet Union and the United States are entered in all the events. The other countries from around the world, there are more than 70 other countries who are entered in these events, some only in one, some in a few. So the real race in terms of really dealing with medals has to be between the Soviet Union and USA. The total, 112 for the Soviet Union, 82 for the USA. It was very close until track and field, and the United States lost out a lot of medals in the field events to the Soviet Union. But we have so much more to go here, like boxing and wrestling and weightlifting and rhythmic gymnastics is starting. Matter of fact, we're going to have some coverage of that coming up shortly.
That's right. Today is the first day for rhythmic gymnastics. We're going to have that on our late night show. And also, we're going to have an interview with Evelyn Ashford, who won her 2nd gold medal today by anchoring the women's 4x100 relay. And our special guest tonight, Steve Lundquist. Stay with us as our coverage continues this night.
And we'll see you shortly.